I did all that talking for a minute and I was still muted. I have no idea. I didn't know that was happening. But hey, welcome everybody, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thank you so much for giving us this little bit of your time. Boy, he promised, he said sometime in the first month of 2023 that he was going to let us in on what the plan for the DCU was going to be moving forward under the watchful eye of him and David Zaslav and all that. And he came up with some pretty good stuff for the hell of it all. He's not even done yet. But, yeah, plenty to talk about tonight. Lady Cora, a little bit under the weather tonight, not feeling well, so she's taking tonight off. But it's not like I don't have a couple of people here that are going to have a whole lot to say about this stuff. The first one being my hetero life mate, Jeremy. What's up, brother?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think between me and Tex, we could talk for the whole 2 hours just ourselves on just one or two of these topics. So it's a lot of questions, a lot of things to talk about.
I'm copying Jeremy, Nicole Brown over there. I've got notes. So, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, plenty to go over. And then also, of course, our main man from the Lone Star State, the shape from down south, our man Tex. What's up, brother?
Oh, not too much. I'm frozen in my house, and I'm praying for global warming. Let's just turn this. Let's make everything Hawaii. How about that? Let's do that.
You see, I'm all for that. I grew up in California, where we have great seasons year round. We only have one season. We have warm.
Right there, you go. Yeah. Like I said, so everybody go outside with hairspray, spray it in the air, turn your microwaves on. Let's just kill the environment so everything's Hawaii. I'm down. with that.
We don't need to destroy the entire ozone layer. Just enough, a little bit more of that heat through.
Well, we don't want too much heat because otherwise, then we start getting cordyceps growing out of our brains, and then we don't want that either. Go watch our Last of Us reviews.
That could be a potential problem.
Yeah. We don't want that.
But again, a whole lot of stories we could have gone over tonight. But I mean, there's just so much to pour over from this announcement by James Gunn that he made on Twitter the other day. That's really kind of all we really have time to go into. Because, like I said, some of this is gonna spur a lot of discussion. But there is one news story I did want to lead with tonight that I didn't want to overlook because she was a very important person, and that is the passing of Cindy Williams. As I bring in my favorite.
I've got one I want to mention after her.
The dynamic actress known best for playing the bubbly Shirley Feeney in the beloved sitcom Laverne and Shirley did pass away at the age of 75 after what her family described as a short illness. Born in Van Nuys, California, Williams' interest in acting throughout high school led her to studying theater at the Los Angeles City College and eventually on to becoming a prolific working television and film actor, appearing in dozens of titles. But it was after she first appeared as Shirley Feeney on Happy Days in 1975 that her career really began to take shape. Williams also appeared in several standout films. Most notably, she starred in George Lucas's 1973 film American Graffiti, which earned Williams a British Academy Film Awards nomination for Best Supporting Actress. The film about a group of friends who spend one wild night together before leaving for college went on to be nominated for 5 Oscars, including Best Picture at the 1974 Academy Awards. I don't really know what else to say about Cindy Williams other than the fact that, I mean, she comes from like one of the last section of the golden era of television. I mean, television changed dramatically in the early mid 90s, mostly just a general evolution that I thought was coming. But I mean, the 70s and 80s is some of the best stuff. It's some of the best television that has ever been made. I mean, there are things even today that hold up. And Laverne and Shirley is one of those shows. Obviously, she got her start on Happy Days. That's where the Laverne and Shirley characters were originated. Laverne and Shirley, for those of you who don't know, was actually a spinoff of Happy Days. But, I mean, also, look, it cannot be understated. The absolute amazing movie that is American Graffiti. Usually when people, go to other countries, mention American filmmaking, not just filmmaking, but American filmmaking. And this is one of the movies that pops up. It's a coming of age tale that is so much more endearing than almost any other coming of age movie that has ever been made. Personally, it's one of my top 10 films ever made. I mean, I don't like to rank them necessarily, but I mean, it's a film that when I sit and watch it, it never disappoints. I can tell you almost every line of dialogue from that movie, almost every scene, every cut, but every time I sit and watch it, it is just phenomenal. I don't know. Jeremy, what are some of your thoughts on the passing of Cindy Williams?
Yeah, like you said, I mean, the first thing I would maybe think of is American Graffiti. Whenever you say George Lucas's name, I mean, what do you think of Star Wars? But like, you can't deny though, you got to throw an American Graffiti into that mix, which was actually before that. So, and I mean, I never watched Happy Days, or I knew of Laverne and Shirley, but again, I don't know anything else about it. But that was really my one Like, that's the only thing I would have known her from, unfortunately. Give us a cool Mythbusters episode, though, pulling that rear axle out of the cop car. That's pretty damn cool.
That was pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tex, what about you? I mean, you're probably closer to my age, well, except for maybe Cora, than anybody else that's usually on this channel. I mean,
Sorry.
I don't know. Were you?
I'm an old soul, but not that old. Sorry.
Yeah, because I know that Cindy Williams. I mean, she made the news a lot the last 10 or so years for saying some things publicly that were not exactly, they were not popular, to say the least. But I mean, separating all that from the artist from the art. I mean, what are some of your thoughts on her career?
Well, I don't know about any of the things that she's recently said. I would imagine it's probably political and, a problematic thing, if I had to guess. But no, I mean, obviously, well, the first things that come to mind, well, first to me is Laverne and Shirley. I mean, that's one of those shows that like my grandparents would have on TV Land or something growing up, watching the whole scene where they're at the brewery working on the line with the glove on top of the bottle, all of the little
one of the best
like
openings
that.
To a TV show ever.
It's that whole, I can't sing, but we're gonna do it, and then they go into the whole thing, whatever. It was just one of those things. Happy Days is one of the greatest sitcoms of all time. It's for so many reasons, but it was just, she was one of those faces, even older. When you looked at her, you knew where you saw her from, or you remembered her for what she contributed. And it's, I mean, it's sad to hear another legend gone, but I mean, unfortunately, we're all doomed to it. But yeah, I mean, she contributed heavily. I don't think, I mean, I'm kind of ashamed to say a little bit, but I don't think I've seen American Graffiti. I don't think I've seen that
movie. Holy, it's a fantastic movie.
I was sitting here trying to think back if I've seen it, but I don't. Maybe on TV one day or something, but that's one I'm going to have to add to the list to go check out. But
it's got this is how George Lucas met Harrison Ford. There's a very young Harrison
Ford
in this movie.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
him, Cindy Williams, Ron Howard, a lot of the people that would go on to be several people that would go on to be a big part of like Happy Days were all in this movie. And it's like I said, it's about the last day of school the last day before all these high school seniors go off their separate ways. One of them goes off to Vietnam. A couple go off to college. A couple go off to different things. It is really like, it's an earlier version of something like Dazed and Confused.
Yeah,
it's kind of in that vein, but a much more heartfelt, much more emotional version of that. There was. I can see the
poster. I can see the poster in my head, isn't it? This is like the 50s car culture movie, right?
Yeah, it's 50s. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see the poster, but I don't think I've actually seen the movie.
Yeah, it's a fantastic.
I'm gonna have to check it out now.
She was great in it, and obviously Laverne and Shirley. I mean, it was one of those shows where you watch it now. That show really holds up because it was one of those shows that kind of fed off the whole the feminist movement, the woman power empowerment movement of the 70s. But it wasn't really obtuse. It was actually fairly subtle in its messaging, and I think that's one of the things that made the show very, very good. Is it didn't cram these ideas down your throat. It was just these two girls who were trying to get along, and there really wasn't a great message. They weren't looking at the camera and saying, "Here's what I'm trying to say, wink, wink," while I do this thing and put the glove on the bottle and yada yada. They were really just two girls who were making their way through life. There was a surrounding group of characters on there that brought a little bit more humor, a little bit more emotion that kind of accentuated it all. But it was subtly one of the greatest shows to come out of the 70s and 80s television scene.
Well, they didn't sacrifice their show for a commentary like they do nowadays. They didn't beat you over the head with it to the point of you can't enjoy this. Obviously, you can see the subtext and the underlying, and you get the message of what they're trying to tell you, but they don't insult you by thinking you're too stupid to get it. And that's one of the things that we lost,
They didn't draw it for you in crayon thinking that you were a child and had to have it all explained to you.
Right. That's what I'm saying. They simply laid it out there. They put it out there and said, if you pick up on it, great. If not, you can still enjoy our show. And this is what we need to go back to, not screaming, whatever your cause is of the week and then ruining Terminator or Ghostbusters for it. It's ridiculous, but whatever.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Thank you also to Andres Vasquez for subscribing. We appreciate it. We hope you enjoy what you see. We do talk
But
about movies.
real quick, I did want to mention the passing of George P. Wilbur. This one was big when I saw this one today. I even posted it in the DM chat there. He played Michael Myers in Halloween 4, probably the greatest Halloween sequel of all time. And then he reprised the role in 6. Really cool dude, awesome actor. He did a lot of stuff, but most notoriously known for Michael. So rest in peace, pal. You did well, good sir. So,
There's been a lot of deaths the last couple of years.
Yeah, I was
yes.
gonna, yeah.
And it seems like
Nonstop.
because there was a few celebrities died of COVID, which is unfortunate. But I mean, there's been a lot of just like a lot of elderly celebrities have been kind of hitting the end the last couple of years. I don't think it's a direct result of COVID, but I mean, there's a every time someone dies, I say this.
I believe he passed of cancer. I believe it wasn't COVID or anything.
Yeah, every time someone passes, I try to say this. It's like go back and watch some of this entertainment. I've been watching all the Bond movies from the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, those movies are still so damn good.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the special effects, you can tell the screen matted in the back. And when they're driving in the car, they're not actually driving. It's the screen behind them playing them. I get it.
Going
yeah,
like this,
I mean,
like
the dialogue is still good. The characters are still fun. The action still great.
Pieces, hell yeah.
It looks a little hammy compared to today's stuff, but it's still so enjoyable. There is nostalgia makes up for the deficiencies in the filmmaking process that has improved over the years. All the good things about those movies easily make up for the things where they kind of haven't aged well. They're still so good.
I still quote to this day. You expect me to talk Goldfinger? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. Like I just say, no, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. I always say that still.
But to this day. But again, thanks to Andres Vasquez for subscribing. We appreciate it. We hope you stick around. We're here every Thursday talking about all kinds of stuff, doing random reviews. Earlier in the week, right now, we're doing our Last of Us reviews. So come hang out with us, show us some support in the chat. Just let us know what your opinions are. But now let's get to the meat and potatoes of why we are all here tonight.
Oh, Lord.
James Gunn promised that he would give us some big news about the future of the DCEU in January, and on the very last day of the month, he delivered. Taking to Twitter, Gunn announced 10 projects that will be the start of the DC Cinematic Universe, Chapter 1. A mix of TV and film projects followed closely, with Gunn's love of more obscure characters, as well as some characters are staples of DC. Here's where we're going to start to break these all down. He listed 10 properties. And I think the best way to do this is just to break them down one by one. So that's how we're going to do it now. We're going to start with the TV ones. Okay, so let's start with this one right now. Let's go with Creature Commandos. I'm not going to lie, I don't know a whole lot about this particular group of characters.
Oh, I do.
But here's something that I think is really interesting. On first glance, there's a lot of parallels here that we can draw between them and Guardians of the Galaxy, because a lot of people said the same thing about Guardians of the Galaxy. How are you going to take this obscure group of people, no individual movies to build them up into a cohesive unit, that kind of thing? And James Gunn went and killed it with both those movies, and supposedly the third, which is coming out soon. He actually made that ragtag group of kind of strange characters work very, very well. Again, part of it is that Marvel is just excellent at casting, and I think they cast everything perfectly. But I mean, again, this is one of those obscure things that Gunn likes to get into. A lot of non-comic book fans have never heard of this. I have a slight bit of knowledge about them, not a great one. But I mean, Jeremy, what do you think about the Creature Commanders? This is going to be the only animated TV show that is going to be in the DCU. I just want to point that out. But I don't know. But Jeremy, what do you think about Creature Commandos being one of the things that he wants to do?
Well, then who else better than James Gunn? Because also I was not only like what you said with Guardians. I mean, when Guardians came out, I was like, who? It's Star-Lord. You know, they're bounty hunter. I was like, who? What? Who the fuck? What barrel at the bottom of did you scrape that from? I was like, what? I don't know. So pardon me I was late to the Guardians train. I was just like, okay. But then, I heard it was good. And also, is he not the one that did the Suicide Squad movie, right? So, also, the thing is, you see that cracked out little, whatever the fuck that thing is supposed to be.
Weasel.
Little weasel, that fucking
Oh
thing.
yeah.
And that was the thing that I was like, oh, we're not letting that go. We're doing that. Okay, whatever.
Well, he's only here because James Gunn's brother Sean Gunn portrays that role. That's the only reason he's on that team. So there's some nepotism for you. The beginning of nepotism, by the way.
We watched, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, and we just let that scene with his brother in the office of J. Jonah Jameson happen. So whatever, it's fun. I don't know. It seems kind of Guardians / Suicide Squad to me. I couldn't really tell. I mean, I'm gonna be on it. He's sitting there. He's like, I got it. He's got his notebook too. I don't know. It's interesting. I'll definitely have to give this a watch because it's if we're finally. I know we've just been saying it, and if it doesn't happen, we just shrug our shoulders. We're like, yeah, okay. But if we're getting something that's actually finally a little more concrete and going to be coherent moving forward, I know it's the joke with Marvel. You got to watch the other 873 movies to understand what the hell happened in this last episode of the current show. You know what I mean? So, but I'll give it a watch.
Yeah, I don't know. Tex, what do you think? You seem to be a lot more informed on Creature Commandos than I am. What do you think? What do you think of the idea of him being one of the things that he's going to use to build the DCU?
That'll be fun.
Before I get into the Creature Commandos, one of the things I like that he said is we're going to have one set of characters that cross over from live action to animation. And whoever voices these characters will portray them in live action. So that being said, Creature Commandos is basically it starts in World War II, and it's a team of monsters that are basically copies of the Universal monsters: Frankenstein, Dracula. There's a Gill Man,
monster,
the Bride of Frankenstein, Wolfman, all of them, and they're just close enough to the characters that they don't get sued, but you know who they are because they're whatever. And they're actually led by Rick Flag's father. Rick Flag, the leader of the Suicide Squad, he's the leader of this team. Well, this team starts out in World War II, but it goes up into modern day because, Frankenstein is a big DC character. I don't know if a lot of people realize that. But this is a very Suicide Squad-like team. A lot of members can die, but obviously Frankenstein's already dead. So, hey, we can just build him back together, whatever. It's not a big deal.
It's alive.
But much like y'all said with the Guardians of the Galaxy, Suicide Squad level type stuff, they can get zany, weird, and creepy with this, but still have it fit mainline universe. This project had me more excited than any of the other 9 announcements that he had. Even Batman. When I heard this, I was like, okay, this is cool. But my one contention is I need a live action Creature Commandos. If you want to start it animated to get an audience built, cool, that's fine. But I want to see a live action Frankenstein and Wolfman in a DC film because what better way to be different than Marvel than just go full out with it? You know what I mean? If Marvel's going to do Werewolf by Night, well, by God, we're going to give you all the Universal monsters fighting Nazis. Who wouldn't want to see that? You don't want to see Frankenstein fighting Nazis? That's a great movie right there. So this to me has the most potential out of anything. I'm very excited.
I'm trying to find the one graphic I saw. They put together like a Marvel style graphic of chapter 1 of the DCEU that I saw and I really liked, but now I can't find it as I'm looking for it. It pisses me off. Speaking
of chapters though, I like for the once again the non-DC nerds, they did DC did an animated film some years ago called Justice League Gods and Monsters. Mm-hmm. Literally, that was the title of the film. And it was alternate versions of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. It was like another Earth, another world, whatever. But so I like that they titled it that, just to kind of differentiate from Phase 1, Phase 2. They're actually titling these things. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't think. They could have called it Phase 1. I don't think anybody would have cared.
They would have made fun of us for it.
But
They can't wait.
That's fine. They can make fun of us now until we come out with this first couple of movies and they're absolute fucking bangers. And then
We took your boy. Now what?
This is just phase one. But again, because you know what they say is that winning is the best deodorant. And if they come out swinging and they win, especially with the first couple of projects, they're going to forget about the stinkers like Black Adam. They're going to forget about Martha. Right. They're going to forget about all that real quick. Because
I still say Martha scene is redeemable if you look at it through the correct vision. That's all I'm saying. But whatever.
It was a little. I was in the fight, man. He had that kryptonite to his fucking throat, and he's just like Martha. I'm like, no. Why'd you say that name? I'm like, damn it.
Yeah.
We're doing this. Just poke him. You had him right there.
Yeah.
I was also in a heated debate with somebody who was a Superman fan. I was like, no, Batman can kick his ass, and he has before. So
I don't know if I'm still not big on the whole Martha thing, but whatever. That scene didn't quite hit with me, but I mean, I've learned to not be so hard on it over time. But still, I'm like, really, that's the most you can do.
Well, we came around to the Star Wars prequels. We can come around on Martha. It's okay.
Yes, yeah. So that's the Creature Commando. I'm interested. I mean, I'm not over the moon at this, but I'm interested. Now, what he did say is he said that not only are these characters from Creature Commandos going to spill over to live action, he said all of these characters are going to cross over from live action to animated, and that he wants the people who play them in live action to also voice them on the animated stuff. Not unlike what Marvel's done for the most part with What If, because with the exception of one or two actors, I don't think Robert Downey Jr. came back to do the voice of Iron Man.
No.
I think one other person, big name, didn't. But I mean, that was actually one of the last things that Chadwick Boseman did before he passed away. Is he did all his voiceover work for What If. Most everybody, with the exception, like I said, I don't think the girl that played Captain Marvel, Brie Larson, I don't think she was there to do the voice, but I think most of the people came back, which I think is actually really cool. So I mean, taking up already kind of a significant page out of Marvel's book is to try to make that continuity as normal as possible. But I don't know. I'm interested in this. I think it has all the potential to be really cool. Again, I'll point back to what he did with Guardians of the Galaxy, an obscure group of very odd characters that is just a weird hodgepodge of whatever, and he put it together and made a really, really great couple of movies out of it. And from what I've read, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is going to be a banger too. So 3 great movies from this. That leads me to believe that this is probably going to be a really good effort from him. But go down in the comments, let us know what you guys think about Creature Commandos. Are you excited about it? I think we all are, pretty much. The next one I want to talk about is Amanda Waller. Now, what this is going to be is a continuation, and this is where things start to get a little murky for me. This is going to be Viola Davis coming back and playing Amanda Waller in her own live-action TV series on HBO Max. For one, let me say, I love Viola Davis as Amanda Walker. This was some Marvel level casting. She is so damn good in everything that I've seen her in. I loved the attitude that she portrays. She's one of those people, she walks in the room, she looks right through you. I think she's the perfect person to play this character because she owns a room when she walks in. Also, I really liked her portrayal, the little bit that she's been in the movies, and I really liked her when she was in Peacemaker. She was one of the things about Peacemaker that didn't disappoint me over the entire run of that show. And so expanding on her character, I think is a really, really smart thing to do. I'm not exactly sure what the Amanda Waller TV show is going to look like, if it's going to be more of like a CIA political thriller kind of thing. That's kind of where I want it to go. He didn't really describe in his Twitter video exactly what it was going to be. He just said they were going to make it. But I like the idea. I don't know. Tex, what do you think about an Amanda Waller TV series?
Once again, I think this is James Gunn's as a lot of people have referred to it as the Gunverse of his little corner of DC that he had prior to Full Control with Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. You'll notice pretty much anybody who was attached to that kept their job. Everybody else got recast. There are so many other. I'm not saying we don't need an Amanda Waller, but I don't think she needs her own show, and especially not in the first phase. Viola Davis is great at the role, but I would have recast her. And if we're going to restart, we're going to restart. I'm sick of the soft rebooting. I'm sick of the picking and choosing what stays, what doesn't. They should have They should have redone the whole thing. This for me is an series. I'll probably watch it, but I wouldn't have done it. That's just me, though.
I don't know, Jeremy. What do you think about the idea of Amanda Waller getting her own TV series?
I'm excited, honestly. I'm not sure where it would go either, because other than what I was hoping they would kind of do with Bruce Wayne, with Ben Affleck, was like, he is kind of the Tony Stark of like the Justice League. He's kind of the one who's always, pulling strings here. He's the one that sits with her and says, Dex, you're muted. I hope you're not trying to say something. Okay, I think he's talking to somebody. He's looking at me.
Sorry
you
about
good?
that.
Okay. You were like, I was just off my own world, and I thought you were talking to me and
No,
muted.
I was muted talking to my child, but yeah, no, go ahead, man.
Okay, I'm sorry. Where was I? So yeah, he's kind of the one he's here and there, and he's the one that had that conversation with Amanda Waller about, hey, I'm putting together a team, and it's kind of like, hey, I did the same thing. So I feel like she's kind of like that glue that she's got all these different weird things like the Suicide Squad. She knows all these other ex-convicts and shit like that are all kind of in her pocket and at her disposal. So,
well, that's the only way that this show's going to work is if
she's going to be in and out. I'm here for it.
Well, I got a feeling, kind of. I mean, not to steal your idea here, but I think we're having the same thought of the Amanda Waller show will be used to introduce other people within the DC world.
Exactly.
Without giving them their own show or property. Well, I mean, just like at the end of Black Adam, she says, well, I've got friends off world too, and then you see Superman pop up. So let's say there's an episode where, the Riddler is causing problems. Well, she gets Batman on the telephone. She pulls out the red phone and calls him or whatever, I mean,
yeah.
See, that's the only thing about the Waller show that I find that honestly needed, because other than that, if this wasn't Viola Davis, Amanda Waller wouldn't have gotten her own show. I firmly believe that.
She's insane as an actress. Yeah.
She is incredible in this role. She is perfect in this role. But I just don't think this is the time to do this show. There are so many other DC characters that we need to set up. Amanda Waller's not tier one for me. You know what I mean?
No, but she's got them all behind doors 1 through however many. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. No. Well, like I said, it's the perfect way.
Somebody that needs to be that anchor of this whole thing, it's got to be her. And again, who else better? Like Frank said, she can.
They're using her as the Sam Jackson, Nick Fury of the DC
I was thinking
universe is what he's doing.
That's a good comparison.
That's exactly what this is. Whether it's.
Well, see, all the more reason why they may want to put her out front is to establish her as that. Because we kind of had from the jump, from movie 1 of the MCU, we had Samuel L. Jackson. Remember that post-credit scene at the end of Iron Man?
Right.
So early on, much
Nick
earlier
Fury.
on in the MCU than we're getting it in the DCU, we had that Nick Fury character established. So why not establish her as that now? And even if her series only goes for like a season, then
she'll be around.
you're firmly going to establish her as a pivotal point of the DC universe and of these characters, kind of where these characters will all eventually kind of mesh together. And maybe she won't build the Justice League necessarily, but she'll be a big part of making this thing a cohesive unit that ends up fighting against the Legion of Doom or whatever the hell it is they end up doing.
Amanda Waller.
Please, Legion of Doom.
Amanda Waller builds Task Force X, the Suicide Squad. She doesn't build the Justice League. So, but that was my first thought was, okay, if we're going to invest the money to build a Suicide Squad-like show, why not just have a Suicide Squad show? So we can bring in, let's not forget, Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn is probably the most popular thing that DC has. Are you telling me that they're going to let her go? Why not do a Suicide Squad show? You can still have Waller. You can still do all the same things, but you get to keep all that other good stuff.
Because I think you want to do Suicide Squad in film form, not on TV.
Well, I was going to say, Amanda Waller's got the... There's a reason why Bruce Wayne goes and talks to her, because he's like, hey, I'm putting together a team too. And she's probably got, she's got, not only just like credentials, but she's got names of people. She's got, hookups. she could probably make some stuff happen because she even said basically the whole point of Task Force X was to be a contingency against Superman should he go rogue.
Bro.
We kind of saw a glimpse of that. Unfortunately, never going to get it, but hey, whatever.
She's in the Metahuman Project, yeah.
Right. But have Superman, like you said, on call and drop of a hat, like, hey, you need to go talk to this Black Adam dude for a second. Like,
bro.
So she's got the connections, people in the right pockets. That's even if it's not like I don't like you're saying. This shouldn't be its own whole huge thing, but give us something to start with here, and that she is basically she can branch out with all these other characters, and we're definitely going to see more of her all over the place, like we do with Nick Fury. So
I think the best. Hopefully they copy more from that Marvel and use Amanda Waller as more of a framing device than the actual. I would prefer if every lead of each episode of this is about a different metahuman, whoever it may be, and the shows are about them, but it's her recruiting or finding or arresting or stopping, whatever it may be. That's the best way they can use her, because other than that, she's just a government agent. She's just a politician. Is all she really is. You know what I mean?
I'm still mad we saw Deathstroke and that never fucking happened.
Oh God! Don't even get me started.
He walked onto that yacht. I was like, "Oh, please do it!" And,
especially once you saw that Affleck's Batman movie was gonna be Batman versus Deathstroke in Arkham Asylum. I mean, come on, dude. Seriously?
Man, you don't have him walk in there like that, like a boss, and then just be like, "Yeah, tell me where to find him." I was like, "Oh," because Lex Luthor's like, "I'm putting together a team too." I'm like, "Oh, we're doing it."
Right.
We're not doing it.
Yeah, but I don't know. Go down the comments below and let us know what you think about Amanda Waller. I think there's a lot of potential here. I think it could be, again, if everything else is going to be straight action, this could be a good political thriller, espionage, intrigue kind of thing.
Yeah,
and I think there's room for that. I don't imagine that she's going to get a multi-season thing. I think it'll be something to establish her as the Nick Fury of this universe. But I don't know. I think it's interesting. Like I said, I like Viola Davis in the role. I think it's going to be pretty cool. But let us know what you guys think. Now, here's one that I'm sure is going to produce a lot of talk.
Oh boy.
We're also going to be getting the Lanterns.
Oh my God!
Yes.
Now, here's the interesting thing about this, and the way that James Gunn described this, he said it was going to be like True Detective.
Yeah.
So, and now here's what I like about this. One of the things that I think that DC can use that will help them combat Marvel in the box office wars is the fact that they are a much darker, grittier version that deals more with the darker tones of humanity than Marvel has been. Marvel's been kind of leaning into it a little bit the last Phase 4. They've kind of dipped their toe in the water. But I mean, DC has always been very, very dark compared to Marvel. And if this is going to be like a True Detective crime story and it's going to be darker, there's going to be almost maybe a rated R thing to it. I think that could be a lot of fun, and it could, of course, wash out the bad taste in our mouths that is still left from the animated green suit that Ryan Reynolds wore. So
Deadpool took care of that for us. We're good. We're good.
Deadpool took care of that. It doesn't exist anymore. Now we're only going to do this. I don't know, Jeremy.
We erased that timeline.
Yeah, Jeremy, I know this is something that you've been looking forward to a lot. What do you think about this idea of Lanterns? And they're also going to have both Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. So we're not going to get one or the other. We're getting them both. And they're going to be like this cop thing, this celestial cop thing. What do you think?
Well, not only, oh my God. So, I love that graphic, brother. That was awesome. I saw Sinestro back there. That's really cool. No, I mean, holy crap, dude. I'm like, if you just alone did something with the Lantern Corps, I mean, James Gunn said, here's the roadmap for the next 10 years. I'm like, no, dude, you could spend the next 10 years on the Lantern Corps itself. Trust me.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I'm like, that's why it's not only the laughably bad, green and animated suit that we like to make fun of, which again doesn't exist anymore. Thank you. I know it's like I don't even know when they say they tried, but I was just like the waste of potential there because when you look into how many different colors there are to Lantern Corps just itself. And I'm glad, like you said, we're not just getting Hal Jordan, but we're getting two different ones here. And I'm like, we're doing this weird buddy space cop detective type thing. I'm like, well, holy crap. Wow. Okay. Well, move over Captain Marvel. Like, hey, we got these guys are in town or in space, whatever. That's something that could really, really explode into something else. Like, we're kind of getting to the weird spacey stuff in DC, well, in Marvel, but I'm like, that was always kind of a thing with DC. It's like, yeah, you had stuff going on Earth or Infinite Earths, for those of you that know what I'm talking about. But there's a lot of stuff that comes from space, like not only them, but Martian Manhunter and shit like that. So again, that Zack Snyder movie hurts because I'm like, man, you had Martian Manhunter in there too. Fuck. Why'd you just let this man sit out to dry? What the hell?
But here's the problem, though. If you go back and listen to what James Gunn said, he said this is a terrestrial threat, meaning on Earth problem, not in space.
I'm saying, but it could branch out. So I'm saying this is something that, please, for the love of God, do right. I mean, you could just really go for it.
I mean, that's the one thing that he said that, I mean, puzzles me because, okay, what problem is so big that you need 2 Green Lanterns to handle on Earth at the same time? And I mean, I'm just thinking within the realm of lanterns here. Is this a Black Lantern problem? Are they like reviving dead here? Are they? I mean, because if so, please, I'm down because I'm a total Black Lantern fan. That's my favorite of all of them.
You like the death, huh?
But I'm Death Ring all the way, baby.
Black Lanterns they're terrifying. Well, then you got to have the White Lanterns that give life. That's the balance.
But see, that's the thing. Like, if this is going to be a terrestrial-based threat, and it ties into the bigger overall plot that DC is facing, is this? What's the name of the group in DC? Intergang, a group of people that have intergalactic weapons that are like a big deal. Like that's even hard for Superman to take on. I mean, what are we dealing with? Is it a Brainiac thing? I mean, what are we dealing with here? You know what I mean? I mean, this can be anything here. I mean, I'm down for some Green Lantern. I'm happy that we're getting Hal Jordan because, I mean, as much as I love John Stewart from Justice League, United, Unlimited cartoon, I will always be a Hal Jordan fan. He will always be my Green Lantern. But what terrestrial threat is big enough, like I said, that you need 2 Green Lanterns to take on? That's what has me most interested about this. And I hope this has the vibe of True Detective season 1, because that had a very kind of supernatural, creepy vibe to that season. I hope they bring that to it. It sounds really cool.
I understand these lanterns. That's how dare I want to say that's kind of our Infinity Stones. Like, you know how many different colors there are and what they all do, and how many. My God, that there are of them, and how many of them are rarer than others. And
green, yellow, red, blue, orange,
purple,
white,
red,
black. I mean, and then there's like Jeff Johns in his newish run, he did like neon versions of all of them.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
there's multiple range.
If you want to fall down a rabbit hole, anybody who's listening, please just look into the lore of the Lantern Corps, and I know that almost right.
Oh, it's huge. Especially Jeff Johns' run. Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run is it's amazing. It's incredible.
That shit will bend your fucking mind, and you should just be as excited as I am, even if you just look at the base colors of them all. And then, like he said, start going into the weird obscure ones. Like, woo! How strong I think things are.
Given here, obviously, Sinestro is the easy answer for who's going to be the initial villain for this. I mean, obviously, when you think, especially Hal Jordan, you think Sinestro. But I mean, who knows what they're going to do with it. They can go so much with this. I mean, with it being terrestrial based, and it ties into the overall plot of the DC universe. It's got to be something massive. That's why I say it's got to be a Brainiac level kind of thing, or something like a Black Lantern level. Who knows? But this is what I'm waiting to see.
I don't want to blow that wad just yet. I'm like, man, build up to that, because you could really do some wild shit with it.
100%, yeah.
Yeah. Just ease people into it. Trust me, that's something you. You don't want to just go. I'm trying to think of a good joke for it, but you don't want to go balls deep into that just right off the bat. So,
Yeah, I'm really. This is one of the ones that I'm most of all the things that he announced in that Twitter post, that video. This is one of the ones I'm most excited about because, like I said, this is the one that can really accentuate what separates DC from Marvel, and that's that super dark tone. Because one of the big questions that has kind of come out the last couple of days since he made this announcement is how R-rated is this DC Chapter 1 or all the DC stuff in general? Are you going to go R-rated? Whereas Disney Marvel has kind of avoided doing that up until kind of recently. They haven't really done R-rated. I think the first R-rated thing they even did was I think Doctor Strange 2, since they had those really deep horror elements, a lot of horror visuals.
I thought that was PG-13.
I thought it might have been rated R, or maybe it was, no, that was the first one that's actually billed as a horror movie. But I mean, they've said they're going to dip it. They're going to dip into the R-rated stuff more, but they're still that's not going to be their strong suit. I think this is the indication that they're going to embrace, whenever possible, they're going to embrace the R-rated stuff, and they're going to go ahead and show some more adult, more psychological themes to it all. And if that's what they're going to do with this, I'm actually really excited about this. Now, if they wanted to make it more of a comic book iteration in that, that'd be cool too, because it's a comic book character after all. But I mean, this is the one that one of the ones I'm most interested in, because I think this is the one that's really going to show how they're going to embrace the darkness of the DCU. But go
down darkness, look for the light.
Yeah,
I wish I had a ring on my finger.
Yeah. But go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think of the Lanterns. It's going to be a live action show on HBO Max.
Oh,
now, moving on, there's another one. I don't know if this is going to necessarily include Wonder Woman, but it's going to be about Themyscira, and that's Paradise Lost. This is basically it's Themyscira, or whatever else it's known in. God, what else is it known as? Where Wonder Woman comes
Paradise Island.
Paradise Island.
Mm-hmm.
There's some other place they call it, but I mean, it's basically going to be, in the way he described it, it's going to be a Game of Thrones style series about the life on this island where Wonder Woman will eventually come from. Now, I don't know how this is somehow going to lead to the reintroduction of Wonder Woman into this universe. I don't know how fast that's going to happen, but I think that's kind of what most of this is going to serve. But I like the idea of him saying this is going to be like Game of Thrones, because again, the way he described the Lanterns being more like True Detective, being on the darker side, when he says this is going to be like Game of Thrones, I mean, I haven't watched any Game of Thrones, but I know a lot of people who have, and I've read a lot of stuff about it, and it was not exactly a G-rated show, if you know what I mean. So I think there's a lot of themes they're going to explore in this that are interesting. I mean, the political themes about how a society made up of only women, how the politics are affected, how relationships are affected, how training is affected, how general point of view on life is affected by only having women in charge of everything. It's going to be really interesting to see them explore this a lot more. And of course, if it's going to be like Game of Thrones, we're going to see some pretty kick-ass sword and shield battles as well, because you're looking at a bunch of Amazonians who from birth are trained to be amazing warriors. So there's a lot of promise there. I don't know, Jeremy, what do you think we're going to be getting from Paradise Lost?
I would assume this is the seeds of introducing our new Wonder Woman. So, I mean, that's exciting. Kind of get if we're laying groundwork, this is what I would assume where we start with that. And it's, not only with a society of women that also decided, like, hey, this is in a way kind of your Wakanda. We're like, nope, screw the outside world. We're just we're fine. We don't need you. We're doing our own thing. We don't meddle in the affairs of the other people of the world. So, I don't know how. I mean, this maybe some sort of prequel to whatever we set up.
This is a prequel. This show takes place before Wonder Woman's even born, before Diana Prince or whatever name you want to go with is even born. It's just I have questions about this. I don't get it.
Well, maybe at like the end of it or something, we see a young Diana or like a newborn. I don't know. Like if it's all setting up to go to that direction, like she'll be maybe season 2. It's like, okay, now we're with her, and then we start getting our bigger
this
threats.
Is basically okay. Think back to Wonder Woman 84. What did we see? We saw a young Diana growing up. This is basically that, but minus Diana, and take it back even further in time. And I mean, think about it. We're restarting the DC universe here. We've got a Superman who's already in his 20s. we've got a Batman who's old enough to have a teenage son, but Wonder Woman, we're going a undetermined amount of time before she's even born.
She's
But
kind of
how do
immortal,
we
so
get her?
whatever.
Right, but you see my point here of how do we get our Trinity? How do we, if we're restarting, ideally, I mean, if you want to do a Paradise Lost show, that's fine, but have Wonder Woman be already in it, already here. So as we're building out our world, we can fill out the rest of it. You know what I mean? It just to me, I mean, yeah, the idea sounds cool, but
well, she's gonna have to come. She's gonna have to come first, being her like Superman, being these immortal beings that came. Well, I guess Superman came to Earth whenever he did, right? So,
right. I know. It's just to me,
child,
it seems this is. I don't know. This was to me. It seems this would be better if you had a Diana Prince Wonder Woman already established. If you want, I mean, obviously there's certain newer DC films that they don't mind just basically remaking, and we'll get to that when Frank brings it up. So if we don't mind doing that, why don't we just retell Diana's childhood? And if you want to do flashbacks of prior in time, you can do that. You know what I mean? But at least you have your main titular character of Diana Prince Wonder Woman here. We're not.
The other thing is, do we really want to see Batman's parents get shot again for the 800th time? And
no. I'm not saying that we need an origin story, but
blowing
this
up.
show is an origin story. Let's be real. Yeah. This is telling the background of how we get to Diana. But I don't know. It seems like we're going a long circle when we could just make a straight line here. It's kind of
we went in a straight line the last time, and that didn't really fucking work for us, did it?
Yeah. I'm not saying
they have together creatively.
Get some, like I said, get the groundwork laid, get the mythology, and get the world.
This seems like one of those things that the show can work. Right. Oh, obviously you have to do it right, but the show can work as if it's one of those deals where the show takes place in two different times. It takes place here and then they flash back and show you how we got here. That to me would work best. If we don't have the current where we have modern day Batman and Superman already on the field to play, to me that's problematic because you need your Trinity. That's very important for DC to nail down. Marvel had their Avengers nailed down. DC's got to nail down the Trinity at the minimum. That's one of the things that needs to happen.
Well, I know he didn't mention it, but we kind of have some semblance of like, well, what might happen is what do we do with Aquaman?
Right. Well, no, actually, Aquaman is addressed because in that deal, he says that Aquaman, technically, Blue Beetle is the start of the new DCU that leads into Aquaman 2, and that goes right into. So technically, Aquaman 2 is safe as far as we know, and Jason Momoa will continue to play Aquaman now.
No, I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I'm like
that's just going by what he said. I mean, go back and listen to him. That's what the man said.
Did you see Jason Momoa's Instagram post from like a
week ago? I did. I commented on it. I'm just saying.
I don't
James
think
Gunn says that Aquaman 2 leads into the DCU.
Yeah, but
and then we're going to have the Flash,
and it comes after. No, Flash comes before Aquaman 2. So whatever happens in Flash, Aquaman 2 comes after that.
It's still going to happen, but the problem is like Flash is our vehicle for just boom. Now everything has changed. So
right.
It's still going to happen, but now it's like, well, now it didn't. So.
But this is the mess that everybody's been talking about, including us on YouTube right now.
I know, but I'm saying, what do we do here? This is our time to try to maybe reset this playing field here. And
remember that just because Aquaman comes out after Flash in real world time doesn't mean that Aquaman doesn't take place before or concurrent with the events of the Flash.
That's what I'm saying. It may still happen, but then eventually it's just going to not have happened. Like
so that's what I'm saying. What may very well end up happening is that we get to the end of Aquaman, the Lost World, or whatever the hell it's called,
Kingdom, or something.
The Lost Kingdom. And and in a post-credit scene, he's sitting there on the throne. The world starts shaking, and then everything kind of evaporates and comes back, and he's sitting there on some other throne as Lobo.
I'm in favor of that. I want Lobo. I'm just going by what Gunn said.
Yeah, I really don't think that Jason Momoa walked out of that office that excited because he's going to keep playing Aquaman. I don't think
I'm hopeful.
he might have come out excited.
Lobo,
he might have come out excited that he was still going to be a part of it, but jumping up and down, getting like a little schoolgirl over that, no. I don't think he would have been that excited to continue to play Aquaman. He's definitely going to be around more. I think he's going to be as something else. I think one of the things that made him excited walking out was not necessarily the role that he was going to play moving forward, but it's the fact. I think probably sitting down with James Gunn and Peter Safran and David Zaslav then is when they kind of laid out their entire plan, either the entirety of chapter 1 or everything they want to do. And he was like, holy shit, this is the kind of direction that this has needed. And now I'm super excited to continue on in the WB, in the DC stuff. Whereas I was just excited to be Aquaman before. Now I'm excited to be a part of it. So that was one of the things I was thinking when I watched that. Is I was like, is he excited to play Aquaman again? Is he excited because he's going to become Lobo? Or is he excited because he finally sees some direction with this instead of whatever the hell chaos was happening in the Snyderverse? It was all a jumbled mess. I tend to think he was probably more excited because he's going to play Lobo. But
are we? Well, okay. Let me ask y'all this question then. Are we any better off than we were under Hamada and Zack Snyder with Zaslav and Gunn? Because to me,
I can already tell you the answer to that is yes.
I'm not sure here, and I'll just let me pose my argument. It seems like we traded Snyder stuff for a little bit less Snyder stuff added to James Gunn stuff, because
we have to have the transition. I mean,
well, we once again, I guess is the point where I have my mini rant about this, but we're rebooting the things except for what James Gunn likes, which is basically all of his friends, including the Justice League members that showed up for the end of the Peacemaker season 1, and all of these other things, including Aquaman and Ezra Miller Flash and Gal Gadot Wonder Woman, everything else. And it's I'm not saying I don't believe in this, but I'm starting to question a little bit. Are we going to be better off? Once a couple of these projects don't work out, because I think there's a good chunk of these. I mean, 10 should be a couple phases, not the first part of the first phase. That's a big whole thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a lot of media to take in. But
however, you didn't see Zack Snyder come in there and sit down and say, "Hey, look, here's the plan."
Yeah.
No one did.
No,
that.
Actually, we did.
We don't have all this laid out where it's.
Whenever,
but like
once when Zack Snyder was coming out and announcing, they laid out the first 5 or 6 years, and they had 2 films per year.
I can tell you right now, they 100% did not. You know how I know that? Because when Man of Steel came out, they asked him, is this going to lead to a shared cinematic universe like Marvel's doing? He says, I don't know. We'll have to see how this movie performs. If he really had it laid out.
It came out after Man of Steel, yeah. No, you're right about that.
Yeah, no, they should have come right out and said, this is the beginning of our shared universe. If he had it all planned out, there was no reason not to say it then. Instead of trying to passively say, oh, no, well, we'll see how this works out. Because you could, like I said, you could show 2 hours of Superman sitting on a toilet reading the Daily Planet, and that movie would make $500 million. So people will go just to see a Superman movie.
Somehow they got paid to go see that
movie, unfortunately. Even if it's bad, they'll pay to go see a Superman movie.
We all saw Quest for Peace. Don't even lie to me.
Yeah. Quest for Peace made a bunch of money. That movie was awful. Even Christopher Reeve was like, I really did this because of contractual obligation.
That was a bad one.
Well, that's my whole question. Well, that's my whole point with this is, this is just the jaded DC fan in me coming out that is like, hey, there might be some red flags here. I want this to work, but Frank, like you said on Twitter, how many lesser known characters do we need when we're not nailing down our stars? And of course, I'm not quoting you exactly, but you know what I'm saying here. It's just I'm leery going into this Gunverse. I want DC to work, and we need to nail down our stars. And with this Wonder Woman show, I feel like we may get lost in the weeds when we should be building up Wonder Woman, not 100 years before she was born. You know what I'm saying? That's my whole point of putting out on this.
Yeah, I think they're in a much better position now because there's actually a plan. I don't think Zack Snyder was actually planning anything out. You can tell by the way that some of the story stuff was just so random at various points over the course of all of his films. I don't think he ever really had either he didn't have a cohesive plan or Warner Brothers was having trouble committing to whatever plan he gave them.
Well, I don't think Snyder was the problem. I think it was Walter Hamada was the problem.
I think there were several problems. I think there were several problems. Hamada was probably one of them. But now they've got some people in there that are going to 100% be in control of this entire creative vision, which is what they should have had from the very beginning. That's why I give them a lot more. That's why I give them a lot more of my confidence now than I would have 3 or 4 years ago after we had gotten one, whatever Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice, or the Justice League debacle. What was the Justice League debacle? I'm much more confident what they're going to give us now. But I forget what the hell I was. I was going to say something. I forgot what the hell it was. But yeah, I think now as far as introducing Wonder Woman, I don't think they necessarily have to in this series.
Nah.
But remember, they haven't said that Gal Gadot isn't coming back. They haven't said she's not, but they haven't said she is.
The door was left open to her to come back, is what James Gunn said.
Yeah, and there was something in what James Gunn had said after the whole thing happened, where they rejected Patty Jenkins' script for the third Wonder Woman. They said it's not that we don't like Patty Jenkins or her directing the story or what she's done so far. We don't think that what she wrote fits in with what our direction is going to be for the DCU moving forward. Saying go back to page 1, rewrite something that has these elements that you like, but fits into what the overall story that we're trying to do here. So it's possible she's going to come back because James Gunn did say he actually did come out at some point and call this a soft reboot. So it's not a straight up reboot where they're recasting everybody. It's not a continuation. He actually used the word soft reboot. So there are things from the Snyderverse that he's going to carry over, but I think he's going to be really, really selective about it.
Well,
like not bringing back Henry
Cavill. Well, yeah, I'm like, well, we're not going to get Henry Cavill. We're not technically going to have Jason Momoa anymore. We're not going to have. Yeah, we're not going to have Ben Affleck. I'm like, well, who's the only damn person? Are we maybe going to have Gal Gadot come back as Wonder Woman? Maybe?
Well, I'm not sure about that Ben Affleck part, though. I mean, I'll talk about that more once we get into Batman. I don't want to cross streams here, but there may be a little bit of hope, just a touch.
I think I know. I think I know where you're going to go with that, because to be fair, the timeline in the Age of Batman, I'm like, yes, that's kind of where that's going. That was kind of like that. Was it Dark Knight Returns? That cartoon version of that's kind of what Ben Affleck was doing, which was awesome. That's that really dark, gritty,
the greatest version of all time. Yeah.
It's a pretty And he beats the absolute shit out of the Joker. Like, yeah, I mean. Yeah, I was kind of glad we did dark, gritty Batman, who basically just, there was like, Batman doesn't kill. I'm like, give him a few years. He will. He will start killing.
Batman has killed in every movie he's ever been in.
The best versions of Batman have killed people.
It's not intention. I don't have to save you, but I'm not going to kill you.
With the exception,
let's not forget Michael Keaton.
Yeah, with the exception of Adam West, the best version of Batman's have all killed people.
Hey, even Adam West had to throw that bomb somewhere. I guarantee you some baby seals,
and baby ducks died.
He killed something with that bomb when he threw it in the water. All right, I'm just saying.
Can't get rid of a bomb. Like
even the holier than thou Adam West has blood on his hands. I don't want to hear that nonsense.
Maybe.
But yeah, I'm really interested in the idea of him saying that this is going to be like Game of Thrones. I kind of want something that's got some of the palace intrigue, some of the. I want to see how this weird political structure works in this society of only women. I think it's going to be interesting to see that dynamic play itself out. And look, this is going to be one way or another. It's going to lead up to Wonder Woman. Whether it's at the very end where a Diana is born, or whether we realized this entire thing was a flashback and it was Apollonia telling the story of how of a piece of Themyscira's history to Diana right before she leaves to run off after Chris Pine. Something like that. I have a feeling that while this show won't center around Wonder Woman, it's going to be a primer for the Wonder Woman that we're going to get eventually as we get deeper into this. Into the
I guarantee you, the end of the first season or the end of this series will end with a young Diana Prince being forged out of clay as it was in the comic books, and you get to see the birth of Wonder Woman. That'll either be the end of the first season or the end of the show. That'll be that will happen at some point.
Just have Linda Carter like narrate the whole thing. Just,
no doubt. I'm all about that.
Please, I know she would do it. I know she would.
There you go.
Man.
No doubt, that'd be awesome.
I mean, it's not like she's doing much else. Might as well get some of that Wonder Woman action.
You can't tell me at the end there where she looks back, she's like, "I've been doing this a long time." I was like,
like, see, that's how they do it.
Girl, you were like, "Yeah."
I did.
They formed the new Wonder Woman, the new Diana out of the mud and clay, right? And then Melinda Carter comes in and does that little twirl thing, and the lightning hits the baby, and then boom, Diana Prince is born. There you go, DC.
Damn Why not?
Come on now.
But go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think about Paradise Lost. Is it something that you're intrigued in seeing? Let us know. Also, don't forget, we've got a poll in the chat. It's asking you. I could not fit all of this stuff on there, unfortunately. I mean, there's 10 projects that they listed. I can only fit 4 on there, so I put the 4 that I thought might get the most buzz. Which one of the upcoming DC properties are you most looking forward to? Is it Lanterns, Paradise Lost, Batman the Brave and the Bold, or Superman Legacy? Right now, Batman's way out in front. Nobody else is even really close.
Shocker! That's crazy.
I said Lanterns. Me of all people, the Batman fans said Lanterns.
Well, of those four, Lanterns was my vote. I think it's of those 4, it's the one that look because we know we're getting Superman, we know we're getting Batman. I mean, the two things they couldn't do any of this without those 2 characters. You could put off Wonder Woman for a while, which is kind of what I think they're doing with Paradise Lost. They're kind of putting off Wonder Woman for a while. Yeah. The reintroduction or introduction of Wonder Woman. So really, Lanterns was the one that was most interesting to me because that was the one that they never really got around to when Zack Snyder was running things.
It's got the biggest lore, I'm telling you.
It does. But go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think of Paradise Lost. Don't forget to vote in the poll. 11 of you have voted so far. Go down there and let us know which one you're most interested in. Now, the last TV show we're going to talk about, I'm not going to lie, it's the one that is the least interesting of all 10 of these things that he mentioned to me, and that's Booster Gold. Come on, man. Here's the thing. Come on. As he's explaining this, I thought to myself, he's trying to make it out like this is going to be DC's kind of quasi Deadpool, but not really.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, who Booster Gold is he's a loser from the future who time travels back in time to our modern day, using futuristic knowledge, tips, and tricks to fight off bad guys. But he's kind of a douchebag. I'm like, I'm okay with anti-heroes, but I don't want douchebags. I don't want cheats. I don't want to make a cheat a hero. To me, I mean, even in that picture right there, he looks like kind of a Vegas lounge singer.
It gives me.
I could be way wrong. I could be way off. This might be absolutely fucking awesome, but I have very little hope in this the way he described it.
It gives me Johnny Cage vibes, like from Mortal Kombat. He's just like the, you know what I mean, like Hollywood pretty boy face, but he's snarky. He's an asshole. Like you say that, and we let fucking Peacemaker happen. Don't you dare tell me it'd be in that same vein. Like those two having an argument would be fucking hysterical.
I'm telling you right now, Chris Pratt will play this role. I'm just calling it right now. I'm throwing it out there. I'm telling you right now. He's done with Star-Lord. This will be Chris Pratt, and he will be perfect for this role.
I think that because people are already all over the internet calling out Chris Pratt to play this, and it's probably not going to be him.
It's a meme. He's playing everybody and everything.
No, but obviously he's memed to play everybody. But I mean, hell, I'm one of the people who criticize Chris Pratt for playing everybody. But Booster Gold is somebody who he could actually pull off with his comedic sense of humor and everything else. So I'm okay with that.
Remember,
we're not doing that Green Lantern. Make it Ryan Reynolds because that would be even funnier.
I'm also good with Ryan Reynolds too.
But remember, we can only speculate right now as to how it's going to end for Star-Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. We don't know if he dies. There's rumors that he does. But we don't. But I mean, he's young enough, and the character is so popular enough that Marvel may want to go back to him and have him in some other movies. So maybe he's not going to leave Marvel to go to DC. If indeed this is the end of his time with Marvel, I would say that's probably a few more percentage points possible he would play Booster Gold, or really anything in the DCU. But we don't exactly know yet what his future in the MCU is until Guardians comes out. He may want to go on. They might throw him money because look, if Marvel wants to keep me around, there's no fucking way I'm turning down that paycheck and that notoriety.
Oh, of course not. Yeah, you'd be a fool to. But I will say this: the one thing that they have to do to make this show successful is bring in Ted Kord Blue Beetle, which is like his buddy in DC Comics, and they are magic together in their adventures. And they're like a zany. It's like it's almost like a Lethal Weapon kind of cop buddy thing, where like if you've ever read a Blue Beetle Booster Gold comic or seen the animated stuff, you know what I'm talking about. They must bring in the original Blue Beetle Ted Kord, not Jaime Reyes, the one that's in the movie, the original version of it. And technically both have been in the world at the same time, so you can pull it off. So that's one thing they must do with this show to make it successful.
I don't know. I mean, again, I have a feeling there's a reason why they're making this a TV show and not a movie. Because they're like, we're going
he's a minor character, no doubt.
He's not thematically good enough to involve himself in all of this. Now they might use this show to set up situations that are going to be addressed by the larger DCU. But I'm like, again, this is of all the things that they mentioned, this is the one that I'm least interested in. Again, it could be awesome, but my confidence level is low. You guys talk for a minute. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no, like I said, with this Blue Beetle, or not Blue Beetle, with Booster Gold, he's a comedic. He doesn't have powers. He uses future technology. What's the name of his robot? Skeet or Skis or something? I can't remember now. I think it's Skeet. But like, he uses like the knowledge that his robot has to benefit him to be. Zod attacks here at this time, so if you get there 5 minutes ahead of time, you can be the hero. It's one of those kind of things. So if they play this comedic right, I mean, with you mentioning Ryan Reynolds, ideally he'd be perfect for this role. But I don't know. I would assume he's doing Deadpool things, so we're probably not going to get him. But somebody with a comedic sense of humor is the most important part for this role. I mean, it has to be done. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of who would. I mean, that's just me being wishful. Like, oh, it'd be funny if it was Ryan Reynolds, because I'm like, yeah, he's basically kind of a weird time traveling Deadpool type person. So,
well,
he can make little meta jokes and shit like that, and it still land. But
honestly, if I were doing this show, I would make this show the Loki equivalent for DC. Play with different time periods.
Yeah, because
I think is what I would do with it.
Is Blue Beetle going to be a movie or a show?
Blue Beetle's a movie, which is that's why I clarified. Blue Beetle Jaime Reyes, the one where it's the full mechanized suit, is the movie. But his buddy Ted Kord Blue Beetle just wears a regular costume, but he has the scarab. Jaime Reyes wears the scarab on his back, and that's how he gets the Iron Man looking armor suit.
Right.
You know what I mean? So technically Jaime Reyes is the second generation of Blue Beetle to Ted Kord's the original, but Ted Kord is like a scientist. He's really smart. He's like kind of like a Batman Tony Stark kind of character or whatever. But they have to have Blue Beetle in at some point in time with this.
That could be the jumping off point, is what I'm saying. Is like that could be
right.
You have a Blue Beetle movie, and it's like, oh, and then you see him time travel at the end and say, hey, what's up? I'm
right.
for gold. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I'm saying. This whole Blue Beetle show could be him jumping through different time periods within the DC world. And then by the end of season 1, he lands in, there's Batman standing there. Oh, I finally made it. Woohoo, or whatever. You know what I mean? Make it the Loki of the DC universe, like the Loki show or whatever. I think that if I were going to make it, that's how I would do it. I would play with the timeline stuff here. Like somehow he screwed up and somehow Batman was never born or something. And I know that's a Flash thing, but you can do it differently to where it's Booster Gold thing.
Maybe he like runs into Flash on accident, like, ah, damn it, hey, what are you doing?
Right. Right, that's what I'm saying.
You sit there trying to take out Gorilla Grodd, and he's like, what the hell happened? Wait. God, I hope we get a Gorilla Grodd.
There's ways of doing it. I do agree with Frank. It will probably, I don't know. I mean, people like zany, like Guardians of the Galaxy type stuff. I would say it's most likely not going to be as well received, but it could be one of those cult classic shows that just jumps off and people love. It's got that potential.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like I said, the Booster Gold could be awesome or it could be terrible. My confidence is lowest in this. But now, look, I'm not yet to the point where I'm like, in Gunn we trust. I'm not yet to that point.
Oh no!
I want to see the first. I want to see the first couple of things come out first. I want to see his vision kind of come to fruition. I want to see the first couple of stepping stones that he lays on his path before I start to get to that point. But this is not one of the ones that I would do. But this does play into Gunn's penchant for lesser known characters. I mean, Suicide Squad. Look at Polka Dot Man. Who the hell would have put Polka Dot Man in a movie other than James Gunn? I mean, everything he did
actually make it work.
Yeah, and actually make it work. I mean, like things like that. So that gives me a little bit of confidence. But on the surface, I'm just not that interested in Booster Gold. I'll watch it, but I'm not that interested in it right now. First trailer comes out though, could change my mind. But those are the television shows that are coming out. Again, we've got Creature Commandos, which is going to be animated. Viola Davis is going to be returning as Amanda Waller in a television show. We're going to have The Lanterns, which is going to follow at least a portion of the Green Lantern Corps here on Earth as they do a True Detective style show investigating some kind of mysteries here on Earth that will play into the larger DCU. Paradise Lost, which is going to be, I guess, a period piece about Themyscira or where Wonder Woman is from. And then, of course, Booster Gold is going to be like the one really goofy character that they're going to go after in their Chapter 1 on the TV side. But before we move into the movie projects, which I'm sure is gonna cause a lot of conversation, don't forget we're on our way to 500 subscribers. So please help share the stream, like it, help push us up the algorithm. Because once we get to 500 streams, we're going to be doing a charity stream for the Abandoned Pet Project. That means every donation that we get over the course of that stream, however long it goes, it'll probably be a longer stream, is going to go to help the Abandoned Pet Project. What they do is they take these animals that sometimes are just hours away from being euthanized, and they get them from the shelter, they take them to the vet. Abandoned Pet Project covers their vet bills to get them nursed back to health, and also helps get them rehomed to animal owners that are going to love them and treat them right for the rest of their lives. One of the things that happened during the pandemic is that a lot of people went to shelters and got companion animals to help keep themselves company when they were all locked in the house. But now that that's over, a lot of these people are just returning these animals to the shelters, and shelters are very badly overburdened right now. So a lot of these animals are just being put down because they just don't have the space. Abandoned Pet Project is doing what they can to help find some of these animals homes, nurse them back to health, and to give them the kind of life that they deserve. So we really want to support the Abandoned Pet Project. And once we get to 500 subscribers, we're going to be doing a charity stream for that. Also, don't forget, we do have a Patreon. The link is right there on the screen. You can go there, and for $5 a month, you get a chance to win $25 in free movie tickets every month. We'll be giving that away again next week on next Thursday's show. Basically, this is just to get people going back out to the theater. It's going to be a busy 2023. I mean, usually early in the year, we don't see a lot of big stuff. But, I mean, from this month on for the rest of the year, there's going to be some huge things coming out. Ant-Man's coming out soon. We've got a bunch of stuff coming out in the next couple of weeks. It's really, really big stuff, and it's going to be balls out from here till the end of 2023 and movie releases. All this stuff that got pushed because of the pandemic had to come out at some point, and it's starting to come out now. So what we really want to do is to promote you guys to go back out to the theater, because it really is the best way to experience movies. The theater experience is way better than watching movies at home. So for $5 a month, you get a chance to win $25 a month in free movie tickets from us. Also, as the list of patrons grow, the amount of money that we will give away will grow. So it might go from 25 to 50, or I'll give away 2 different $25 prizes, once every 2 weeks or 2 every month. I don't know. I'll figure that out when it happens. But the bigger the Patreon grows, the more we'll be giving away to you guys. I just want the Patreon to feed itself so I can start putting some movie tickets back in your guys' hands so you go to theaters. So don't forget to support us on there if you would like. Now, let's get on to the movie side of things, and there is no shortage of big movies that are coming out. Let's start with the big name, the S on the chest, Superman Legacy. Now, this is the only one that he actually gave a release date. He gave Superman Legacy a release date of July 11th, 2025. So we're 2.5 years away from this movie. He did say he is writing it right now, that he's having a lot of fun writing it. And that's kind of promising. Now, I would expect him to say that he's having a lot of fun writing it, but he is writing it right now. I'm sure that he's already thinking about people that could take on the role of Superman, Clark Kent, Kal-El. Jeremy, I mean, Superman, Batman, I mean, these are your guys. Batman specifically, we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah. I mean, these are Batman and Superman are the two big names in DC film, comic book. I mean, these are probably the two biggest comic book names ever between DC and Marvel. These are the two biggest names. This is the one that is, to me, the most important because this is the one that he has to get right. They have not yet announced a director, though it's widely believed that James Gunn's going to be in the chair himself for this one, which I think makes a lot of sense because he wants this to get off to the right start. Somebody in the chat did mention earlier this was going to be that sounded like let me see if I can find the comment, that it sounds like Superman is definitely based off of All Stars. I am not familiar with the All Stars.
Every bit of art that he's used, every picture has been from the All Star Superman comic book run, which is a lot of fans really think that's like the best run of all time. So yes.
Yeah, but I don't know, Jeremy. What do you think? Yeah. This is the one that they have to get right. What did you think about what he was saying about Superman Legacy?
Man, yeah. If there's one superhero you got to get right, man. This is your OG. This is Superman that we're talking about. Which I believe like he predates Batman by like a few months, but like comic book wise. So yeah, your big two heavy hitters that you have to get right are Superman and Batman. So my first thought is, okay, so who's playing Superman? And like like they said with All Stars, what story are we going with? What are we doing here? I mean, are we doing obviously the same thing we've seen every time? We know what happens. Krypton blows up, boom, he comes to Earth. Yeah, it gets raised here. The whole Smallville thing happened. I don't know, man. Like it's like you're saying, I really don't know because I'm like, I don't know who's playing it. I don't know what direction we're going in, and that's a long time away for anything. I'm assuming, yeah, you don't want to just say, okay, who's playing, and here's a snippet of what we have in mind. We'll get it as we get closer, and maybe that's something to be excited about. But yeah, this has to be done right, and I'm optimistic. I know I'm sounding like the Browns fan. Sorry, the DC fan. I'm trying to be really optimistic, man. Like
DC/Browns.
yeah.
Well, here's the thing, though. I mean, there's two pieces of comic media that has kind of been sourced, and that's one, All Star Superman, and two, Superman versus the Elite, which was like kind of a lesser known team of villains that Superman faces, and they even made an animated movie about it. And there's another one of these movies that the team, once again, it's another lesser known team film like Gunn likes to make, that I have a sneaking suspicion is probably replacing the Elite. But here's the issue, though. James Gunn even said this is a movie about Superman coming to terms with and struggling with his Earth and Kryptonian lineage and all of that goes with that. Did we not just see that in Man of Steel? Was that literally not the point of that whole movie?
That's his whole shtick. Yeah, I mean, like I said, we've seen Superman's story. We've seen Batman's parents get killed.
Right.
We know
this is what I'm saying. I know none of us want origin stories. Well, this is just another origin story. And if we can keep Gal Gadot, if the door's left open for Zachary Levi's Shazam, if Viola Davis can stick around, if, Jason Momoa can hang around. I mean, I hate to beat this. Well, actually, I don't hate to beat the Henry Cavill drum. I'll do it as long as I want to. But why not keep an established Superman to further that story? We keep going back to go forward. We keep going back and keep going back. We're just remaking Man of Steel because, that's Snyder's Superman. We don't like it. Well, this is just Gunn Superman. This is him retelling that same story. I don't know. I want a good Superman. I want a good film here, but
we're gonna
this
be doing
feels like the most. Yeah,
we're gonna be doing it twice anyway. Even though Zack Snyder's Justice League doesn't technically exist, it was a window into what could have been, but we got what we got with just the normal. I almost said Man of Steel, Justice League.
Well,
we're gonna have to do it. I know we're gonna have to do it again. I mean, how many times did we reboot Spider-Man? That was really hard to say. We know the same damn story. Uncle Ben dies, except for in this one they kind of did. It was Aunt May, but whatever, weird stuff. But
just go back a couple months ago when we first started hearing about Gunn was going to announce this. What did Jeremy? You and I both said this on the show that if when Gunn came out and said something, if it was nothing less than a full reboot, we were going to have issues with it. I mean, you said it yourself. I clearly remember. You know what I mean? This is I want to get excited about these things, but I have so much that is holding me back here that it's like you had this, but we're going back. You
don't want to. That's what I'm saying. I don't want us to go back. I know it's even weird to think that okay, we have Jason Momoa and like maybe Gal Gadot. I'm like, yeah, that's great, but I'm like, why don't we just if we're just full sending, let's just full send, please. I know it's gonna be cool if we see them. I know, like the thing that sticks out in my head is something Frank always says: you're just one line of dialogue away from just changing the whole thing. It's that simple. When you're like, oh yeah, now Gal Gadot is this person. Now Jason Momoa is Lobo. It's like, okay, fine. I had to sit there and just accept it. I'm like, I don't know. If we're just gonna do it, let's just do it. I don't want to have to go back to Henry Cavill. I don't want to have to keep going back to Ben Affleck. Like,
yeah, there's one wild card in all this that we don't know how it's going to affect things yet. That's the Flash. Because even before they decided that this whole thing was going to get redone, they were counting on the Flash to kind of reset the entire DCEU anyway.
He's going to have to.
So here's what can happen. Now, for those of you obviously, for those of you out there familiar with the Flashpoint comic book line, you know how it all went. It led to a lot of bonker stuff. But I mean, if you just look at the way they approached the Flashpoint in the Flash TV series with Grant Gustin, it's like he goes back in time to stop his mom from being killed. He realizes the dire effect that it has on everything. And so he goes back in time to stop himself. But when he stops himself, he comes back thinking that everything would be the way it was. And it wasn't. There were some small differences. It's like, Diggle's kid was a boy instead of a girl or girl instead of a boy. And then there were some subtle things that were different, but he realized in that you can't make these changes and not just change it back to the way it was. That there's irreparable damage that you do when you do that. So my question is how is the Flash going to affect all these characters moving forward? Because they said now James Gunn, one of the things that he did say in this announcement on Twitter was that he's seen the Flash and it's maybe one of the best comic book movies ever made. And that's what I'm hearing from everywhere. Like, I don't know anybody that's personally seen the movie, but like the words that I've heard from people who have seen screenings of it, they're like, this shit is next level. Like, it is something outrageously good, which makes me very, very happy. But we don't yet know how they're going to use that to affect things moving forward. Like I said, we could see Flash, everything go the way it goes, and then we go see Aquaman months later in December when it comes out at the end of this year. And at the end of that movie, after all's said and done, that climactic point has happened. Something crazy happens, and Jason Momoa turns from Aquaman into Lobo. And so we don't yet know the ripples that movie is going to send through. So my thought is maybe we're getting a different variant, to use the Marvel term, of Diana. So maybe the Diana that we end up getting moving forward, maybe it's still Gal Gadot, but maybe it's not the same Wonder Woman or Diana Prince we've had.
That's what I was thinking too. I'm like, I would love to still see her. I'd love to still have all the same people again. But I'm like, I know, but it still feels like it hurts because you're like, they're there, but not how we want them to be. I don't know.
Well, and maybe it changed the way things happen, even the way that things happen on Krypton somehow. Like the ripple effects of the Flashpoint were felt across the universe, and maybe things on Krypton didn't happen for another 10 or 15 years. And instead of Kal-El being sent, or that variant of Kal-El being sent, whatever. I know you're getting into the weeds here. We start talking about shit like this, but maybe Kal-El isn't sent at the exact same time. Maybe he shows up a lot later, and then we end up getting that younger version of Kal-El of Clark Kent than we've had with Henry Cavill's version.
Well, as far as kind of like the Flash thing you were just talking about, though, I was listening to I forget the name of her show, Beyond the Trailer, that Grace Randolph chick. As much as I don't like her on a lot of things, she does have a lot of trusted sources and can be believed. And apparently what's being put out is all of those cameos that were filmed for the Flash by everybody. From Keaton to every bit of that was cut.
That's what I was wondering. Like, where do we leave Keaton? Where do we leave?
We're getting a new Supergirl, which I'm glad because I don't like that Sasha Calle chick. That just doesn't look like Supergirl.
I don't think they've cut the Batman stuff out. No, they haven't cut the Michael Keaton stuff out.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, well, what do we do with that?
Apparently they did. From what From what I've heard, Keaton was cut out of it, though. Or the ending of it, not the middle of it.
I know they cut the. I know that Henry Cavill shot a cameo that was cut, and Gal Gadot shot a cameo that was cut, and I think that I know Ben Affleck's still in the movie, and I know that somebody else, I forget who.
It was Keaton, Affleck, Cavill, Gadot, and Momoa all had cameos for that.
That's the other one. Yeah, the Momoa stuff got cut. But no, the Batman stuff is still in there because that's integral to the story. You can't cut that out. And
that's in there, but that's in there, but the ending of the film is what I'm talking about. Even that part of Keaton was removed.
Well, we're going to find out a lot in about a week and a half. You know why? Because one of the Super Bowl trailers is apparently going to be a big Flash trailer. So we're gonna get a really good indicator on Super Bowl Sunday as to exactly what that movie's going to look like.
I don't know. Maybe it could be. Hey, it could be some weird like Doctor Who shit where it's like all of a sudden, boom, Flash, and all of a sudden it's like he goes from looking like Ben Affleck to all of a sudden this guy. And it's like, what happened? I don't know.
The one thing I hope for out of this Superman movie, as trivial as it sounds, I don't want trunks on Superman. I've never liked that look, even growing up. You got to wear
the underwear on the outside, man.
No, I'm not. I know it, in the nerd world that's a huge argument: trunks versus no trunks, and I'm a no trunks person. I never liked it.
I don't care person.
Do you want trunks on the outside, or do you want bat nipples?
I want neither. I don't have to have either of those, sir. I don't know what you're talking about.
I want the performances to be fucking awesome and the dialogue to kick ass.
Right. Yeah.
If all that happens, then nobody's going to know if Superman's got nipples or if Batman's wearing trunks. Nobody's going to know. No, like I said, winning is the best deodorant. If these movies come out, they're bangers. Nobody's going to be talking. Do you remember the whole mustache debacle with Superman?
Yeah, I didn't.
I wanted to see a mustachioed Superman.
That was news for like a week. That was news for a week and a half. It was a non-story. This is a non-story. This is Twitter doing what Twitter does. James Gunn was having fun with people about the whole trunks thing. Those people were taking it seriously, and even he went to Twitter and was like, "Guys, I am not making this decision creatively on a stupid ass unscientific Twitter poll. This is all just for fun."
Hey, maybe when we see the new Superman, he get laying down. He's just got this big bushy Mario-esque mustache, and they kind of all go, "Hey, might want to," and just I don't know, takes his laser eyes. I don't know. Right. Just as a joke, he'd be like, "Oh, wait, sorry, guys."
Of all the dumb things that fandom gets bent about, it's like a play.
But not to mention that it would take like
he's got a cod piece on or some shit.
Hey, man.
It would take a kryptonite. It would take a kryptonite lace razor to even shave Superman's mustache off. Could you imagine the science behind figuring that crap out? Good luck, buddy.
In one of the Christopher Reeve movies, I forget which one because it's been forever since I've watched any of them. I think it was maybe the second or third one. It wasn't the first one. It was the second or third one. They actually had in a museum in the movie, they had I guess Superman had given them a hair, and like his single hair could hold up like a 2-ton ball.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
because here on Earth, he's like a superhuman, but like
there's no Mach 1 razor that's going to shave Superman's 5 o'clock shadow. That ain't going to happen. I'm sorry.
But
could just take his fingernails and just go like.
But this is the one. This to me, Superman Legacy is the one they have to get right. And I again, it's going to come down to casting. It's going to come down to writing. I'm confident in his writing ability for sure. But the next big thing is going to be casting. We've got at least a year and a half before we hear anything real about casting.
Scott Eastwood.
There's going to be a lot of people that are going to throw names around there, and maybe they will fit, maybe they won't fit. The bottom line is you need to find the right actor, not just to play Superman, but to play his version of Superman. Because remember, when they announced that they were moving off of Henry Cavill, I know how people love to say they fired Henry Cavill. No, they didn't. Henry Cavill was not under contractual obligation anymore.
Yeah, no, he wasn't.
The question was, do you want to bring him back? And they said, we thought about it, and we don't think that Henry Cavill is going to fit our version of Superman. So obviously Superman's going to be affected by Flashpoint or something along those lines.
Call up Nicolas Cage. Bring it back, man.
Yeah, let's get that. Yeah,
they do have.
Let's get Superman.
They always have that Elseworld. Make him an Elseworld movie. I'll be all right with that.
True. Well, you could have Nicolas Cage in there as that version of Superman as a joke because like we never got it. We came real close, but never got it.
Yeah, just make it a straight up comedy. That'd be fun. Just make it a straight up comedy.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think about Superman Legacy. Is it something you're looking forward to? Right now, Superman's actually kind of in last place right now in the poll. Believe it or not, Batman's got a big lead, almost half the vote, 45%. Lanterns is actually second with 27, which is really intriguing to me.
Y'all skewed the poll. Y'all skewed the poll by politicking for it. That's what
I didn't even say Batman. I put Lantern. Yeah. Remember that.
Paradise Lost has 18%, and Superman Legacy has 9%. That's weird. I thought Batman and Superman were going to be kind of neck and neck, and the other two were going to be kind of fighting for third place. But I mean, surprisingly enough, Batman's way out there.
We've seen these stories before. So.
True. The next one they're coming out with is one that's kind of interesting to me. It's called The Authority. I don't really know a lot about these, other than they're kind of a group of anti-heroes. I don't know. I'll defer to you, Tex, because you seem to already have a little bit more knowledge about this than me. Hearing him describe them was kind of interesting, but I don't have enough knowledge about these characters yet to kind of draw any kind of an idea as to what I think this might become. Tex, clue me on exactly who these people are.
Guy in the middle's got like a bizarro look going on, so I'm like, what?
Kind of. This is like a kind of a generic knockoff Justice League. It's Wildstorm Comics or something. I believe it's Wildstorm Comics was the company that came up with these people, and DC bought them or something. They're like very much like the TV show over on Amazon. What's it called?
The Boys.
The Boys, yeah. They're very similar to The Boys. They're kind of like a crude, very, very, they're more of a team of like how the Justice League would say, oh, well, we don't kill our enemies. This team is like a Justice League of anti-heroes that does good but doesn't mind shedding some blood. Basically, is what this is.
Not quite Suicide Squad, but not Justice League.
Right. Pretty much. The two main characters of this team, I forget their names. I read this book years ago. They're a gay couple. It's like a gay version of Batman and Superman, but they're gay together with one another. I'd have to Google their names to look them up. But this is a very minor team. I was really surprised that this is even a movie. Out of all of the 10 projects that were announced, to me, this is the one that I could see being shelved for something else. Because even somebody who knows as much about DC lore as I do, this is like a F level squad. This is nothing.
Justice League Lower Decks.
Yeah, this is lower deck kind of material. I'm not saying it's not cool or they have some good stuff, but this is just like with Paradise Lost. Why are we making this a movie? I think James Gunn's kind of gone crazy with, I could take any random team that you've never heard of in comic books and I can make them successful.
He did do it, though.
He did it one time with one team. Now he's got like 3 to do within DC alone. He's got Creature Commandos, this one, and then what was the other one? I can't even remember. Either way, he's got multiple teams here to deal with.
Squad too, but
right, yeah. And, where's the Suicide Squad? That was my first thought. I was like, okay, you just did a Suicide Squad film. Where's the Suicide Squad? Everybody knows that IP. Everybody knows that brand. But we're bringing the Authority up. You're doing
off.
Yeah, you're doing a Waller show, but we're not getting another Suicide Squad movie. Where's Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn? You know they're not going to leave her behind. She's a huge hit. Everything else.
I meant Peacemaker, but they did her Birds of Prey thing, which was not.
Right, but look at how good she was done in Suicide Squad 2. I love the first Suicide Squad movie. That's still my favorite one out of the two.
She just is Harley Quinn, man. I don't know anyone else.
Better. 100%. That's what I'm saying. So
casting out of the park.
We're going to trade the one team that you probably didn't know unless you're a comic nerd, being Suicide Squad, in for an even lesser known team of anti-heroes that technically do good but could be considered a villain. This doesn't make sense to me. This was one of those. I think James Gunn's getting a lot of rope to maybe hang himself with because of what he's done with Marvel. He's not going to be successful with all these properties. We know that, and I think this is the one that's probably not going to work out of all of the films, at least. I don't think it's going to be a success.
I'm trying to play devil's advocate and say that, well, I mean, he did say this isn't everything, and I'm trying to trust the process that this is all going to make sense with all the other stuff that we don't even know about yet. It might make sense, but just, I mean, from an outside look right now, we're kind of like, huh? How does this connect? I mean,
well, that's okay, but I mean, to your point there, this isn't everything. But like I said earlier, this is 10 different pieces of media as a first part. How big is the whole piece if this is the first part?
11.
When multiples of these projects you've never heard of before. Well, you know, there are so many other dudes. How about instead of a authority show or an authority film, why not a film for the Legion of Doom? You know, how cool would that be? Everybody knows that IP.
I feel like
we'll get there. Right, but this, to me, this is a movie that you don't do in phase one. You do it once you're already established. Marvel didn't throw Guardians of the Galaxy out till they were already known for their other things. You know what I mean? Well, you don't start off on a risk. You start off on a something that's known better. Is what I'm saying.
Remember, Iron Man wasn't exactly the best property in Marvel when they decided to make that movie.
And a lot of people, not a whole team of them, though.
Yeah, but it's a good comparison though, because Iron Man was not the biggest comic book IP that they had. I mean, Thor was much bigger. Hulk was much bigger. Captain America was much bigger. And a lot of people question at first, why are you starting with Iron Man, who's a relatively minor character in the mythos of all the Marvel stuff? And it worked out pretty damn well.
It's also, they're like, using Robert Downey
you can't take that away, but there's just a lot of stuff that Gunn has decided to start with that's relatively unknown. And I think you can do that with one or two things, but not half.
Think about all the stuff that Marvel has done from stuff that is kind of middle of the road. I mean, Black Widow, big character, only one movie that didn't do so great. Pandemic had something to do with it, but I mean, under better circumstances, that movie would have made $1 billion. I mean, Hawkeye, they've made a big success. I mean,
but Hawkeye couldn't sell a film on his own either.
Guardians of the Galaxy was a big success. Let's see. Really, the only thing they really had to lean on for most of the Infinity Saga, I mean, going into it, it was like Captain America was like the biggest name, but they started with Iron Man, who was a little bit more than middle of the road, but not like the biggest character. They could have gone right to Captain America, and they didn't. Instead, they started here, and it worked out pretty well. So there's precedence here. And look, remember, I would imagine that he is probably, even though he's not directly involved, I would imagine that he's on the phone with Kevin Feige saying, hey, how would you do this? Not tell me how to do this, but like, I have this idea. Tell me how you would do it. So that way I can kind of like mesh these two things together. So it's still my thing, but I'm still feeding off that. Because I guarantee, look, because if anybody wants DC to be successful, trust me, it's Kevin Feige. Because if DC gets better, that means
all shit. Yeah.
If DC gets better, that means that both of them are going to start doing even better at the box office, and that's more money for everybody else. So he wants DC to be good too. They may not say it out loud, but he wants DC to be good too. So I mean, there's precedence in the way that Gunn knows what he knows from Marvel about how to do this stuff. So I'm not necessarily upset about him taking these obscure characters. I would lean on the bigger ones a little bit first. Like you said, lean on them a little bit more first. But I think what he said over the course of this announcement, he goes, this is all about story. This is less about characters and more about story. Because a lot of people are kind of wondering why Captain Marvel. But Captain Marvel did $1 billion. So I mean, you can shit on if you don't like the movie, fine. But I mean, it was Captain Marvel's not a huge character, and they made bank off that. So I think that his focus is on the story, which is where it should be.
I will say one thing though, when it comes to Gunn and his decision. Okay, Gunn just sat there and said he thinks the Flash film is one of the best superhero films he's ever seen. Right? When's you would think? Okay, if Flash was so good, wouldn't they go ahead and have another one planned in the works? Wouldn't you go ahead and say, oh, well, in 2026, you're going to get the Flash Reborn or the Flash whatever? If that film is so good
right now.
Well, okay, but here's the thing. You can come out and commit for the next however many years with 10 projects, but you can't say Flash. That tells me he doesn't actually believe that the Flash is one of the greatest he's ever seen. He's saying that to give it good press. You know, you're
it's not
playing for home team.
It's not just him that's saying this. Before he even signed the deal to take over DC, there was already a lot of reports coming out that Flash was an awesome fucking
Right.
movie.
But once again, I still stand by my argument of you can announce an Authority movie, but not a Flash. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can announce all of these lesser known things, but it's people who know that. I mean, everybody knows the Flash, whether it's for good or bad reasons now. If it was really that good, Flash would have a piece in this slate. Whereas there's so much else that took its spot. That's all that I'm saying.
Well, remember, just because they haven't announced it doesn't mean they're not going to. He said they've
No,
only
I
announced
get
a
that.
part of what is going to be Chapter 1. He also did
Right.
say that they're looking to release 2 films, and 2 television shows a year.
And,
So,
and if you add those 4 pieces to the 15 movies that Marvel already releases, all you're going to watch is superheroes going forward.
Hey, you know what? As long as they're making money. I mean, they keep making Fast and Furious movies because people keep buying tickets to go see them.
Well, that's the.
I don't blame
that brings
them all
up
for
an interesting question. If with the rising tide raising all ships, those ships are going to have to be moving really swift because there's only so much money to be made out of fans, and if you've got 12 superhero movies per year, it's going to get some slim pickings for who goes to see what.
Well, then you have to make them good, which is what they're focusing on.
Right.
They're trying to make them good.
Right.
Marvel, for the most part, has been good. They've had a couple of movies not be so great, but for the most part,
Right.
Marvel movies are good. And that's what James Gunn, I think that's what he was saying when he said they want to focus a lot more on storytelling, is they want these movies to be good. So I'm okay on that, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the Authority. Again, I don't know how excited to be about the Authority. I don't know a whole lot about it.
I'm going to have to do more research into it.
He says it's like The Boys. That actually turns me on
very similar
because I love The Boys. That show is 10 different kinds of awesome. I like the fact that it's a different view of the standard superhero stuff. What if some of these superheroes were actually psychotic? What if we didn't know that inside this group of superheroes was actually a Legion of Doom level asshole, a bad guy Superman who could screw everything up? So if you describe it to me like that interests me a little bit. But my question is it going to be the better part of The Boys, or is it just going to be the same thing but different? That's what I don't know about. That's the X factor.
I don't think it's going to be as hardcore as The Boys. I don't think you're going to see any group orgy scene in a kind of thing or whatever.
No superhero orgy in the Authority. Oh,
I wouldn't imagine. So I don't see DC going that far as Amazon did with The Boys. But it's a different it's a Justice League that is willing to take a life if they're not losing any sleep over it. Where Superman's the Boy Scout doesn't want to do it, but they've got Justice League level characters is what it is. So I am going to look into it more though. But
go down in the comments below. Let us know if you guys are at all familiar with the Authority. Are you excited about it? I don't know enough to be excited yet. I'm intrigued, but I want to learn more. Hopefully, we'll get some more news about this in the next 12 to 18 months about exactly what this is going to look like under the direction of James Gunn. Now, get ready, Jay. I'm teeing you up, buddy. Here's the one that I know Jeremy's probably got a lot to say about. We are going to Batman the Brave and the Bold. This is the biggest departure in this, is that we're actually going to be getting the best look at Robin on camera that we've gotten since the nonsense that was the George Clooney bat nipples thing. So look,
you mean where he adopted a grown man in Batman and Robin?
He adopted a grown ass man. But But look, this is going to be the first time we see Damian Wayne. This is going to be the son of Bruce Wayne, and I'm interested as to how this is going to turn out, because they said they wanted to get a Batman who was not quite the grizzled veteran, but not quite young either. So I feel like that if we're going to get a Batman who has a teenage son, that we're going to be getting a guy who's been around a while. He's been stalking the streets of Gotham for a bit. So this is kind of a departure from what they've been saying, but I don't quite know yet. I don't know much about the Brave and the Bold storyline, but I will say the way he described it was very interesting, and I like the fact that we're incorporating Robin again, because I know that the Christian Bale, Christopher Nolan stuff, they wanted to avoid Robin because they wanted to focus just on Batman, on his story, and I get it. And I know they're having a child around that. I mean, I don't know. There's people look at it differently, but to me, it's about time we work Robin back into a Batman story, because there have been really good iterations of Batman with Robin. I'm pretty excited about this. Again, I don't know a whole lot about the Brave and the Bold storyline. I'm going to have to look it up a little bit more, but I know they've got it on HBO Max. I'm sure they've got Batman Brave and the Bold on there, so I might have to sit and watch it.
So
I don't know, Jay. Batman's your guy. This is the superhero for you. What do you think about Batman, the Brave and the Bold?
look at that. Texted a Batman right there. He's just gone. That's real rude. They really just take off, don't they? Little smoke bomb. Man, yeah. As soon as he said, "Ooh, broke the couch." As soon as he said that, yeah, I'm like, well, Damian Wayne. Like, finally, there's 5 different versions of Robin, and we've, in some form, I think, seen most of the. I don't know. We've seen most of them, but I mean, maybe not in like a big screen format. Like we've seen Red Hood, we've seen Nightwing, but we haven't gotten, like I said, like a good, like a Damian Wayne. So, and this is that middle ground of it's Batman. He's been around for a hot minute, but he's starting to, now you're dealing with your teenage son, who's now Robin, after the how many iterations you already went through, one of which almost died. Took a crowbar to the face, and Joker put someone else in a wheelchair. He put Batgirl in a wheelchair. So Oracle, yeah. So there he is.
I'm back.
He's somewhere in the night. He pulled a Batman. I come back and he's gone. God damn, he's getting into character. Yeah, but you're not quite to the Batman just straight up putting guns on everything and killing everybody because he can. But,
Hey.
Also, Rachel, your couch is already broke. Shut up. It about just took me over that way. Excuse me. I don't know. I'm excited. And again, my biggest thing with like this with Superman is I'm like, okay, casting. Who are we going to get to do this? And also, are we going to see other Robins? I mean, are we just going to focus on this?
Better.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I have wanted to see a Nightwing. I love his aesthetic. I love Red Hood. That's a sweet.
Red Hood's my favorite character in DC.
That's a sweet character right there. So it'll be fun kind of seeing this, this teenage version of Robin. Because like, really, what was the last? I don't even want to call. You know what? I'm never going to call that George Clooney movie good. You know what? I'm sorry, Matt. I almost want to be like, that's the last time we saw that. But I'm like, really? When was the last good time, man? It was Burt Ward and fucking Adam West. You can't tell me it wasn't. It's probably the last good time we had a Batman and Robin, like on a big screen. To be fair, someone's going to mention an animated show and be like, well, there's that. I'm like, yeah, I know. Those are great. Trust me. I know they are. But big screen, yeah.
Well,
oh boy.
Let's not forget. I mean, well, before we go there, I'll go here. It looks like this is going to be based off of the Grant Morrison run of Batman and Robin comic books. And obviously they're using the Brave and the Bold because that's a name that's tied into Batman. But all of the artwork that he's pulled from, and it seems like because Batman and Son was the name of the comic that introduced Damian. And then Son of Batman was the name of the animated movie. Yes. Yeah, I'm right on that. Okay. But what you get with this is obviously, Talia al Ghul, Raisha's daughter, drugs Batman. She technically does some molesting on him to get her pregnant, but you just kind of overlook that in the comic book. And then Damian's born. Now, the question is...
we got there, yeah.
Well, see, that was my first thought with this was, obviously, we just went through this whole Me Too thing in Hollywood. Are we really going to make a movie about a story where Batman is drugged and took advantage of to the point where a child is born? Okay, that's a little weird, but I'll let that
go. It's okay because he's a rich white guy.
Yeah, this also, I mean, they're probably going to do a lot of what Marvel does. They're not going to be direct interpretations of the comics. Right. I'm sure they're going to explain how he came around a lot differently.
Well, I mean, Damian Wayne, I mean, for the ones that don't know, imagine a 14-year-old mouthy version of Bruce Wayne that was trained to be an assassin killer who has no problem just taking your head clean off at the shoulders because you looked at him funny. He was raised to be, he was raised to be the heir to the throne of Ra's al Ghul. And the only reason he goes to Batman is because the League of Assassins is in trouble, and Talia wants to protect him.
Yeah,
So,
Shadows, yeah.
or the League of Shadows, they swap those names in and out. It's hard.
I know.
It's like, is it Race or is it Roz? You can call it either, but you know what you're talking about.
I've heard both.
I say both. Whatever comes out is what I say. But you know what? The best thing about this is, just like Jeremy said, we're finally getting the Bat family. And Saffron even came out and said, we're getting the Bat family. That is the best thing about Batman. I'm tired of seeing just Batman. I'm tired of seeing a realistic take on Batman where he's by himself fighting watered down versions of the villains. Give me a full comic book world with the full Bat family, with the everything. I want it all. And I think we're finally going to get it here. I'm excited for this.
Just go for it. That is the fun thing about Batman.
Right.
Is he's just it's a grounded character. He could, and yes, there are villains that are just, someone who had a bad day, like the Joker, I guess, for that.
Well, he's grounded, but his world is not. And so many people miss that.
Yeah, there are. But the fact is that he can do all that. Yeah, he has these weird fuckers really, Poison Ivy is one that kind of has powers. Mr. Freeze is almost bordering on that.
Poison, Man-Bat, Clayface.
Oh my God, Man-Bat. I have also not only I want to see Man-Bat. Holy,
Man-Bat's my favorite villain besides Joker and Two-Face. I love me some Man-Bat.
I'm give me some Man-Bat, dude. And Clayface, Solomon Grundy, maybe even.
Yes. Oh, he's a freaking zombie, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. You have these weird things. I'm that is so much fun. You can still do it. Who cares? You don't have to do. You can do camp and it's good. That's the 60s Batman. You can do camp and it was George Clooney, whatever.
Right.
You don't have to do them. You can still do it, but you don't be afraid to have fun with these characters that do have these outlandish powers and stuff. That's kind of the point of Batman. I'm he can beat the crap out of the Joker because he's also just another guy. But if he's going to sit there and actually, because that's the point, is he has to be smart enough to realize, how do I go toe to toe with someone like Mr. Freeze, like Poison Ivy, like Clayface? No, Firefly's kind of grounded too. He's just got tech, he probably sits there and goes,
just got scarred. All he is
from a flamethrower. Yeah,
he or she, depending on the version of the character, they were scarred up real bad. They were a fireman.
Yeah,
and they wear that suit because it's pretty much melded to their skin at this point. But it's Firefly's nothing.
Yeah. Where does he get those wonderful toys?
Well, that's the whole thing, though, is
you're welcome.
I want this to open up. I mean, you could do a whole Batman verse himself with just the sidekicks and the people that it includes. And unfortunately, Matt Reeves wants to suck off Christopher Nolan and do a watered-down version of the Dark Knight trilogy, because that's all he's doing over there, and just remake his movies. We could have had that already. But, I said it. The Batman sucks. Matt Reeves, come at me, I dare you. But
you know what shirt is actually? This isn't the whole shirt. This is actually a dual. that's actually what it is underneath here, you jackass. I got Batman on here.
Hey, the Batman is boring.
Oh, fuck you.
Self-pretentious garbage. It's 3 hours I will never get back. No,
Cora's not here for him to piss off, so he's got to turn his target to somebody.
I have to have a victim. Somebody's got to be here.
Hey, man, this is what I'm saying. This is that dynamic. That's what you want. Who doesn't want to see Batman? This. I guess this is middle-aged-ish Batman, because really the Batman you always see is early 30s.
This version of Batman's about 38 in the comics, 35 to 38.
Yeah, you always see from his 20s to his early 30s is about where he hits his peak. This is I'd say middle-aged Batman where you're starting to get up there. Yeah. And then the Dark Knight Returns that we kind of got with Ben Affleck is in his 50s maybe. So, I want to see that versus his little snarky ass teenage son who's again meant to be a trained assassin, and he's also again the fifth version of Robin. But
let's see,
Dick Grayson,
Jason Todd,
Tim
Drake, Carrie Kelly. There's been a couple other female Robins. There's between 5 and 7 Robins.
Yeah, and then you got Damien. It's so.
Well, are they going to acknowledge any of the are any of those going to have existed in this universe?
They
This is a
did
question
say that we're getting a full Bat family. They did say that.
But they don't. But we don't know exactly what point we're starting the Bat family. So when we get this Batman, the Brave and the Bold, is he already going to? Is he have already gone through a couple of Robins?
Yeah.
He has to.
Or have we not gotten? Yeah, but again, they're not going to be direct interpretations of the comics.
I know, damn
they
it.
can jump around here. So that's a question that we don't yet have the full answer to. Is he going to be the first Robin, or is it eventually we're going to find Dick Grayson or whatever, or are you going to find out that he's already gone through a couple of Robins?
Being the older Batman, you'd have to assume he's at least gone through, maybe I'd want to see at least Red Hood and like Nightwing, because that's probably what you're going to get, because they've since gone out. Like, he went off to Bloodhaven, do his own thing, and Red Hood does whatever he does, doing backflips and double gunning people like all day.
Well,
so in his bomb ass leather jacket, I gotta say, he's got the coolest look.
They can't. I guess technically they can't. But if they say Damien's the first Robin, that's going to make a lot of people mad.
That'd make me mad.
That would be the biggest mistake that they could do.
Yeah.
So
this ain't your first.
You have to have Dick Grayson. Jason Todd, I would argue he's the most important Robin, because he's Batman's greatest mistake. Batman let him get killed by the Joker. Yeah. So Batman learned so much from Jason Todd as a Robin. And then as Red Hood, when he comes back, he learns even more and then ultimately rejoins whatever happens there. But, which we need a Red Hood movie, by the way. Please, James Gunn, I will love you forever, and I will forgive anything else you do if you give me a good Red Hood movie. Just throwing that out there. But,
Arkham Knight,
it's with Damian Wayne, he brings a new aesthetic to the Robin role, because Bruce isn't just training somebody else. He's training his own kid with the mind of Ra's al Ghul. That's why it's so interesting. And, so many times you're like, well, technically Damien's right, but, ultimately Batman doesn't want to kill, even though that's a stupid way to handle it.
But he's right.
But this is they have to. I highly doubt in the first movie we're going to see the entire Bat family, but I want to see Easter eggs. Maybe Nightwing calls in from Bloodhaven. We have Oracle or Batgirl. I'd rather have Batgirl than Oracle. I don't want to see her be Oracle just yet. I want to see her active in the constant work.
To be fair, if we already have the thing happen with Jason Todd, doesn't that happen at the same time? Like, doesn't she?
No, that's different times. No, that's
because I thought he beat the crap out of him, and then he shot her in the spine or something, and that's how.
No, that's two different stories. Whenever Batman, whenever the Killing Joke happens, technically the Killing Joke wasn't a canon story, but it was so popular that they made it canon. That was supposed to be an Elseworlds comic.
I've still got. I think that movie that came out a few years ago. I was like, this is.
Oh, that movie's garbage. That movie's horrible, dude. That movie sucks.
I thought it was awesome.
Oh no! They have Batman and Batgirl sleeping together in the beginning of that movie. That is the creepiest thing ever.
Who has
either way, I'm not
slept with, man. Like
either way, I'm not going.
They're not related, so
just because they're not related, he's sleeping with his best friend's daughter. I mean, it's Jim Gordon's daughter. Come on, a little weird. Right. But either way, I want to see the full Bat family. I want to see a good Alfred. I want to see kind of an Alfred that's a little bit mouthy towards Bruce, because that's always when it's played best. I mean, you saw that in Batman v Superman, and you also saw it in the Dark Knight trilogy. Something like that is good. But give me the whole
that guy that kind of snaps him back, like, "Hey, look, man!" Like,
right. And preferably, he's not 80 years old. Somewhat of a younger Alfred would be better.
Yeah, Alfred's always best when he's the one that's keeping Bruce from just crossing the limit.
Right.
It's like he keeps just enough of a leash on Bruce that he doesn't quite go too far, but he lets him go right up to the limit because he knows that's what he has to do. But he's the one that gives that chain a yank and says, "Nope, don't cross that line." There's that very fine line. You got to stay on this side of it, and it's always been Alfred's job to kind of keep him from just going over the line.
With this story, Bruce learns to become that Alfred role with his son, who's like, "Oh, hey, there's Deathstroke. Well, let me just go cut his head off with a sword." And Bruce is like, "No, we can't do that." You know what I mean? So, Bruce becomes Alfred in this story. That's what's so good about this comic book.
Yeah, but Jeremy, I know that was the one that you were really wanting to sink your teeth into. Again, I don't know much about the Brave and the Bold storyline, but again, one of the variables we don't know how to adjust for yet is exactly how comic book accurate do they really want to make this stuff. I would imagine they're going to do the same thing that James Gunn is used to doing with Marvel. They're going to take little aspects of the different storylines or one storyline. They're going to build a whole new thing around it. That's my guess as to where they're going right now. So maybe it won't be exact, but I do like the fact that they want to examine the relationship with Batman and Robin a little bit more now, because they haven't done that a lot at all. I mean, since the Schumacher movies that were god awful with Clooney and Val Kilmer, they haven't really approached it. Yeah, they haven't really approached that in a long time. Like you said, since Burt Ward. And I mean, the animated stuff is one thing, but cinematically,
well, technically, we've had a live action Robin for the last couple of years and the Titans show. I don't know if you've watched that or not.
Yeah, but that's not going to be.
That's a really good Robin. Brendan Thwaites is an excellent Robin in Nightwing. Now, their take on Jason Todd was, I didn't really like that. But their Nightwing Robin was really good. So.
Yeah, I don't know if you can really call that. Well, cinematically, anyway. I mean, on TV shows is one thing.
That's what I was saying. I'm like, I know all this,
cinematically, they haven't really touched Robin at all.
All this animated stuff is really great, but I'm like, but when was the last time on a big movie we actually saw a Batman and Robin like that? Like, I mean, yeah, I'd hate to say it, but it's probably Burt Ward and Adam West.
Yeah,
Jeremy, would you agree that Robin needs to be the star of this movie, even though Batman can kind of overshadow?
It's because that is more of your focus. Like, again, we know Batman, we know where he's at, but it's like it's him trying to rein in this his damn kid now, who, like you said, is basically kind of in the same vein as him. You know, he has the League of Shadows. He's been trained to be an assassin, which is the same thing he did, but like he's basically like you said, he's got the Marty McFly thing. Someone calls him a chicken, and he's like, all right, motherfucker, I'm gonna kill you. Like,
oh yeah,
you know. So I wouldn't mind that. I mean, he is that mentor role to his son in this aspect. So yeah, you don't want him to quite literally just overshadow his own son like that. But I know you got to rein him in.
I can't remember in the Son of Batman. Well, in the Son of Batman movie, Deathstroke was the villain. Now, in the comic book, I don't remember who it was. It may have been Deathstroke as well, but I'm not 100% for sure.
Was it animated?
No. In the animated movie, it was Deathstroke. But in the comic book that they sourced that from, I can't remember who the villain was in the comic. But either way, my point is, you don't need a major villain. Like, you don't need a Joker-level villain to be in this movie. You need the majority of this film to focus on Batman and Robin. That's why Nightwing plays Nightwing is integral. We need him in live action in this film as well, because how he interacts with Damian is integral. I mean, it is key for this movie.
Someone who's already gone through being Robin with Batman and previous, I don't know how to call it, previous era, so to speak.
Right.
Him telling him, and he's like, and now I'm taking care of business on my own over here. But he's like, look, kid, you know, it's literally not just a village, but it takes a whole bat family to raise this one damn child. So that's
the whole thing is, I mean, you have Nightwing who looks at Batman as a father, but then you have Damian who that's actually his father. There's even a line of, oh, well, you're just the adopted one or something that Damian says to Dick. And that really gets to Dick. You know what I mean? So there's like a sibling rivalry that they can play with here that needs to be established in this film.
He just cracks his neck like, all right, I'm going to show you the Flying Grayson, son. All right, here we go.
Right, yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying.
There's Dick Grayson, welcome to Jackass.
You can play with the family drama, you can have, because Nightwing's a little bit jealous of Damian because he's not the blood heir Damian is. You know what I mean? Yeah. You can play with these things.
He's gonna be Prince Harry and Prince Charles here. It's gonna be fucking
great. Pretty much, yeah.
It's gonna be great. Oh boy, who's gonna wear the crown? Find out next week.
Well, depending on how far they want to take this thing out, I mean, if they want to do like a Court of Owls storyline where Bruce goes missing, then
That's
Dick
what I was
becomes
saying.
Batman, and
Just some Court of
Damien
Owls.
Damien is his Robin. And technically, what's funny, that first image that James Gunn showed in the presentation was Dick Grayson Batman. That wasn't even a Bruce Wayne Batman. That was a Dick Grayson Batman that they showed there. But I don't know how many people picked up on that, but I mean, that was technically the new version of Batman there. So I thought it was kind of fun.
The new Adventures of Batman.
Yeah, but, I don't know. There's going to be plenty more news coming from this. Hopefully, very soon.
So.
Don't forget. This is just we talked about it already. This is just part of what Chapter 1's going to be.
Right.
So, and don't forget, in about 5.5 months, we've got Comic-Con, which I have a feeling they're not going to take Comic-Con off this year. I have a feeling they're planning something for Comic-Con. So either
you don't think we'll get casting for Superman by then?
No, we're not. No. That movie's 2.5 years away. They're not going to announce casting for it right now. They made that mistake with Black Adam, casting The Rock, and then 275 eons later, we finally get the movie. They're not going to do that again.
It's not like The Rock's going anywhere though. It's The Rock, but like still.
Oh, well, and on top of that, it's like why connect yourself to one guy right now? Take your time. Look, if I'm them, maybe this thing does work out in a way over the course of the next couple of years where we can work Henry Cavill back into the role. I mean, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I mean, look, they said it's not that we don't like Henry Cavill. We just don't know if we want him to play the Superman that we're trying to create. Maybe at some point they continue conversations with Cavill, and then they're like, you know what? Maybe this is the guy that we want to take the cape for us.
He could always be Bizarro.
He could always be Bizarro. He could always play another role in the DC.
He could be Jor-El.
He could be Jor-El. I mean, there's
Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah, take your time.
No,
there's too many actors out there that could possibly play it. There's too many actors that are up and coming whose names we probably don't even know yet that could possibly play it. So, I mean, maybe in the next year, somebody else's name, some other, mid-20s guy really pops off. Maybe it's the next guy who shows up on Stranger Things is the next Eddie Munson, or maybe it's what some guy who happens to do a small movie and he really takes off the way Ezra Miller's career did after doing some of the smaller independent things like Perks of Being a Wallflower or something. You look at this guy and they say, hey, this guy's got the kind of talent to be the Superman that we want. So I mean, maybe it's a name we know, maybe it's a name we don't. I don't know.
It's like Jenny Ortega, she's just taking the hell off right now too.
Yeah. Why commit yourself to a guy 2.5 years out? Give yourself some time. I mean, remember, the first thing they have to do is they have to write the damn thing. He said he's writing it now. He's balls deep into writing it. So he's got to figure out what his character is first. And after you've got it all written out, you've got a script that you like. It's been greenlit by Warner Brothers and the guys up top. That's when you say, okay, now that we've got on paper the Superman that we want, now let's go find the guy who's going to fit this role. So take your time, write the movie first, spend the next year and a half getting the character right on paper, then cast the guy. They don't have to commit themselves to anybody right now. But there's going to be plenty more talk about Batman coming up. Again, Comic-Con's coming up in about 5.5 months. I have a feeling that we're gonna get more news at Comic-Con. Probably not any big casting news, but certainly maybe even a couple of trailers. I mean, we could get, if they're filming Waller, doing any filming for Waller, you could get it. You could start getting some concept art for things like Land of Paradise Lost. I don't think we'll get any more Superman news, to be honest. Maybe some concept art for things like The Authorities. I don't know, but Comic-Con's going to be an interesting time too. But a couple more things to go as we start to get things wrapped up here. One that I'm interested in because I feel like they could really, really take a dark turn on this one. I don't know that they will, but they could, is Supergirl. They did say that this was going to be much more, that Supergirl was going to be more jaded than Superman. That this Supergirl is actually, instead of being raised on Earth by loving human parents the way that Jor-El was, or Kal-El was, that she actually was raised on a piece of Krypton that was floating through space. So she's been jaded and hurt and beaten. She hasn't really learned how to use her powers yet, especially for good, the way that her more popular cousin has. So this is one of those ones that I think they could go a lot more R-rated. They could go a lot darker with a super character. There's a lot that's not known, but I think it's got some interesting some themes to it that I think they can play around with. I don't know, Jay, what do you think about Supergirl?
I do like that there could be this weird dynamic duality type thing that, this is, I guess product of your environment, right? I mean, he was the Superman we know was lucky enough to have been taken off Krypton before it exploded and raised by people on Earth that, took care of him and taught him, what's the line? Everybody at home say it: truth, justice, and the American way. If we're allowed to say that in the year of our Lord 2023. But anyway.
You just got canceled for saying that. Sorry.
I just killed our whole channel. Sorry.
Yep, we're done. Back it up.
Yeah. If you don't like Superman, you're un-American. I said it.
I'm telling you what.
But then you have someone, you start thinking about it like, oh crap, there was someone else who was, there's another Kryptonian who was on a chunk of that was left, that was raised, and you think, damn, well, what the hell happened with her? Like, I almost had a weird Captain Marvel moment where I'm like, yeah, well, she was actually on Earth and she lived, a good portion of her life there, but then it's like, wow, but then she got taken out to space, some other foreign planet, and this is how they do things here, and that's how she became. It's like, geez, it's gonna be interesting, if these two meet up, and it's like, oh, well, you got to be here, and I almost went, in the search for peace or whatever the hell I was going to make that joke. And while I was out there getting my ass beat on by other, on some little chunk of Krypton that's still even out there. And also it's different, right? I mean, like, that's why he's superhuman on Earth, because on Krypton, he's just kind of a normal, they're just Kryptonians, but on Earth, it's like, oh, holy crap. Well, he's powered by the sun, which also just, he moves differently here. That's why he can run faster than a speeding bullet and leap buildings in a single bound. God, I really miss that old show, man. If you ever watched that, just go watch the old Supermans with what's his name? George Reeves. I was like, it's Reeves, not the other one. It gets confusing. Sorry, it does get confusing. This will be a fun dynamic. If again, this is all going to be together, which I'm hoping. Then that'll be interesting to see her come flying in, and it's like, oh, hey, we don't kill people here, and she's like, yeah, well, screw that. I don't know. Snaps Zod's neck like he did in the movie Man of Steel. But
I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, between Supergirl and Superman, Superman Kal-El was a baby, and I mean, months old whenever he was sent to Earth. Mm-hmm. Kara Zor-El was like 14, 15 teenage year girl. So she saw all the bad things with Brainiac and what went down on Krypton and everything else. And depending on which storyline they're going with, if they're going with the storyline of, oh, well, she was sent to Earth at the same time, but somehow she was caught in like a time loop or the Phantom Zone or whatever they want to say. So when she gets to Earth, she's still a teenager, and Clark's a grown man Superman. So technically she's older than him, but on Earth, he's older than her. But he's got all the experience. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, going to cost 51 years.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So she saw, she saw how Kal-El's idealistic, like you said, in his Truth, Justice, and the American Way. Supergirl, she's seen the bad. She knows what it takes. And the comics that they're basing this off of, Supergirl, the Woman of Tomorrow, it's a 4 or 5 issue comic run about Supergirl helping out somebody else, and like it goes to multiple planets within this thing. So I don't know what they're going to pull from this story, but for them to use the art that they did, they could tell a lot. I mean, this is going to be one of those journeys of, self-identifying, and realizing who and what, they are. You know what I mean? This could be good. I do hope we get a more traditional Supergirl than what they were going to give us at Flash, because thank God they're not going forward with her. I hope they don't anyways.
You going to let her wear her underwear on the outside?
No. Supergirl needs the skirt. Supergirl always has the skirt. That's how it's supposed to be.
And the high boots. Yeah.
I will give. I hope James Gunn, coming from Marvel, I'm an idiot. Marvel, Marvel's been very true to the comic when it comes to what the costumes look like and what the characters look like. I hope he brings that to DC. I really and truly do. I hope he learned that from Kevin Feige. I hope Kevin Feige gives him that advice because that matters to people. So many people argue and complain about it. It's not a race or a creed or a color thing. It's a staying true to the art thing. So
But
I hope we get a more
wear the damn underwear on the outside.
Not every version of Superman. More versions, at least here recently, he puts his underwear on the inside of his dadgum pants like a grown man should, not running around like an idiot.
He's not from this planet. He can wear his suit how he wants.
He is just as much this planet as he is Krypton, sir. I will argue with that. But either way, this
grew away from all that. That's true.
I'm actually excited to see this one. I think this one will be fun. I like it.
Yeah, I'm interested. Like I said, the fact that he said she's going to be jaded. That's another one of the ones that I think they're going to try to lean towards the darkness of DC a little bit more, which is kind of exciting to me. I was listening to John Campea talk about it earlier, and they were talking about how this might be one of those situations where where Superman has to teach her to not go overboard with her powers. Like he was fortunate enough to be raised by people who said, "Don't push it too far. Do what you have to do the right thing, and then stop." Whereas you even see it in this picture. I mean, she's all bloodied. And there's a bloody sword I'm not even sure what planet they're on entirely, but I mean, she's obviously been through quite a battle in this picture right here. So I do wonder if it's one of those situations where he's going to have to teach her how to dial that back a little bit, that not every fight has to be life or death. Not every fight has to end with you tearing somebody down the middle. It's that there are ways to, to win the battle without necessarily leaving a body count. So that's interesting to me. Also, I think it's interesting is that we always see Supergirl. She's just a girl version of Superman. There really is no difference between the two, except that she wears the frilly dress around her waist, and he doesn't. That's the only difference. Yeah. And they've been kind of watered down stories. She occasionally will deal with one of Superman's kind of normal bad guys, but for the most part, she's kind of street level, and I don't think she gets a lot of respect in that. Because if she, by all accounts, she is as strong as Superman. Yeah. She gets her power from Earth's yellow sun. So why not put her in some more dangerous situations and let her be a superhero and not just the girl version, the Mary Sue version of Superman? So I'm kind of excited about that.
Even the Supergirl TV show that was on CW, when it initially came out, it wasn't a bad show. It was, obviously they were playing to a more female fan base. But if you were just watching for the superhero level stuff, they had her going against Brainiac and, other incredible Superman threats. So I hope they take that approach with it. Give us a very faithful adaptation of the character. I think that's important here. Well, it's important in every character, but
also didn't Kevin Smith write some of that? So
yeah.
Wasn't Kevin Smith involved in that? That's why it was so damn good. I'm just
later on, not initially. He came on a few seasons in. He directed an episode, I
believe. Yeah. He directed a couple episodes of The Flash because Jason Mewes was one of them. He was the guy that was hanging out with the blonde girl that got his mom's car blown up. That was a funny scene. But yeah, I don't know. I'm interested in Supergirl. I don't know where it's going to go yet. I like the idea that they're going to kind of embrace the darkness of DC, and they're going to kind of make her a bit of an anti-hero to start, but definitely an up-and-coming hero that doesn't quite know how to use her powers, as it was described on when John Campea was talking about it earlier today. But that's interesting to me.
Kind of like Batman having to reel in Damian, dude, chill. We don't have to take everyone's head off, okay?
It could be a bit of a theme in a couple of these things as we lead into what will eventually be a Justice League movie, some kind of a mashup movie that is their Avengers.
There's got to be a scene at some point where, a young, mouthy Robin who's, angsty and full of teenage, just whatever, hits on Supergirl because he's Batman's son. He's got that much confidence. That would be hilarious. That would totally be a Damian Wayne thing that he would do too. I could see that.
And then she would punch him straight to the face. It'd be
awesome. But go down in the comments below. Let us know what you think of Supergirl. I think there's a lot of potential here, I think. But let us know what you guys think. Now, there's one more thing I want to talk about tonight. This is the one that I'm sure this is the last thing. Honestly, I'm not going to lie. This is the one that I am most excited about for a whole lot of reasons. After canceling the show after basically one episode, they are going theatrical for the Swamp Thing. And not only that,
Yes.
the news has come out in the last couple of days that James Mangold of Logan and Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny is actually already in talks to direct the film. Here's where I'm very, very interested in this. For one, Swamp Thing, you can go straight horror with this guy. And I think that's one of the things that I've heard about this already is they want this to be their horror character. I mean, because think about it. He's a doctor who, through some kind of experimentation, I forget exactly how it goes. It's been forever since I've done that much of a dive into the character. But through some kind of experimentation, ends up becoming plant-based himself and ends up living in the swamps of, I want to say somewhere like Louisiana or something like that.
It's down in Louisiana.
Yeah, but this has got some great horror vibes. I heard a lot of people say, I haven't watched the television show yet, but I've heard a lot of people say that it actually was quite good, and they were really disappointed that it got canceled so fast because it confused a lot of people because they were like, because I guess the first episode got some pretty good reception, and then they canceled it out of nowhere before the second show even aired.
It was canceled before the first episode even aired.
Oh, well, bottom line is a lot of people liked it, and they were like, why didn't you guys give this more of a chance? Now, maybe at that point, they had already decided that they were going to reboot everything and that none of this stuff was really going to be around in a couple of years anyway, so why bother? But bottom line is, I'm really, really excited about this. The idea that James Mangold is already in talks to direct it, it's going to be a great horror property. It's going to be a great superhero property. There's a lot about this to be excited about. Tex, what do you think about the notion of them kicking back up the Swamp Thing and making it kind of a straight-up horror film?
I love me some Swampy. He is one of my favorite DC characters. I love the show. They had the greatest Jason Voorhees ever. Derek Mears playing the actual creature himself, Swamp Thing. Had a great horror vibe to the show. It wasn't too scary or too gory. It was, like a PG-13 level, but it delivered. They got it right, and I hope they used the show as a model. The only reason the show got canceled was because they were filming in North Carolina, and they didn't get the tax breaks to make the show profitable that they needed. So that's why they cut the cord. This was in the time of DC Universe being its own streaming service, and you had Titans, you had Swamp Thing, and a few other different shows. But I want this to be really good. I want them to go forward with this and explore the green, all of the powers. I mean, Swamp Thing through the, when I say the green, I mean any plant life that's based on the planet he can interact with. He can literally transfer himself from one planet to the other, like through the core of the earth, basically. And there's a lot they can go with because the red represents life, like animals. The green is plants. I can't remember every little thing, but they can go crazy with this. If they go, just go read all of the Swamp Things. Look at the 80s run of Swamp Thing, which James Mangold posted a photo of on Twitter that I had shared in the DM group. This movie, I'm more excited about this than I am Batman Brave and Bold because I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I hope they bring back Derek Mears. He deserves it. He got screwed on the TV show, and there is so much they can open up with this. It can lead into a Justice League Dark. You can go, speaking of Justice League Dark, where's the Constantine 2 announcement we were supposed to get? We were promised that as well. Huh?
That's true.
Yeah, we were told James Gunn was going forward with Constantine. So if we've got Swamp Thing, now we need Constantine. We need Zatanna, Deadman, Etrigan the Demon. We can have a Justice League Dark here, y'all. And they're laying the foundations. And maybe they're going to use a Swamp Thing movie to start that Justice League Dark. That'd be really cool. I like it. I'm excited for this. This and Creature Commando, I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, Jay, Swamp Thing, something you're interested in?
I mean, like you said, if we're embracing the dark, this is a good one to do it for. I'm tired. Okay, it's a long day. Man, and like we said, maybe after it was one episode and gone, maybe like you said, maybe it was already kind of coming down the pipe that this isn't gonna, it's not gonna matter here. So let's not get too into this like we did with all this other stuff. And now we're in a position we're in now, but I digress. telling me that it's going to be the guy who did Logan, making that movie R-rated was the best thing they could have ever done, and I really hope that if we're going to start pushing this dark envelope, this is a good one to do it on, because that picture you even had right there, that's some like Cthulhu level types of like horrifying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know it's the tale as old as time with, I almost said Marvel. With DC, it's always like, oh, it's some doctor's experiment gone wrong, and now you have insert character. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of the...
Not just in DC, but really across a lot of different films over the years.
I guess, yeah, that's kind of the classic reused tale of, oh, doctor does an experiment, goes wrong, and here we are. So, yeah, but this could be fun. It's not... It's like, hey, what if we made Poison Ivy basically a horror movie? So, yeah, that'll be fun. Somebody in Louisiana is gonna get their leg eaten by a. You're just gonna see that fucker come out of the thing. Boom.
Yeah, the most exciting thing about this to me is it seems like they're just going to embrace the horror aspect of it all.
Oh,
I think that's exciting. Because you can embrace, because if you're making an individual Swamp Thing property, you can embrace the horror. But if you wanted to incorporate him in someone else's stuff, or if you wanted to incorporate him in like one of the mashup movies like a Justice League or something like that, you don't necessarily have to make that a horror to include him. You can just have him in there, you know, being him, but not necessarily growing up around a human being and tearing them apart or whatever kind of cool, crazy ways he's going to find to kill people as a swamp monster. But yeah, I'm really excited. Like I said, I love when comic book movies dip into the horror a little bit. I really like that aspect about Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. I think it's going to be awesome with this. And like I said, DC, one of the biggest strengths they have moving forward is this darkness that Marvel doesn't have. And I like the fact that in a lot of these properties we've talked about tonight, they're just going to embrace it. They're going to go with it. They're going to let that hopefully be their strength along with the storytelling. And to do this is awesome. Like I said, a lot of people really liked that the Swamp Man TV show, and were kind of bummed when it went away. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but a lot of people said
it was incredible. It was great. It was one season, but it was so. What was the name of the white coach from Remember the Titans? Will Patton. Will Patton played the main bad guy on that show.
Okay.
And he played like this scroungy kind of Cajun dude that, you know, he's very corrupt. He very politician-like is kind of how he played this guy. And of course, you know, they told the story of Alec Holland, how he was scientist that ends up dying. Well, he gets killed, but he gets thrown into this swamp that has this regenerative properties, and the swamp basically like takes his body and his life and kind of adopts it. So technically Alec Holland's still dead, but it's alive through the swamp. It's a whole way they tell it, but you know, they can do a cool story with this. I hope, like I said, I hope they bring back Derek Mears too, because he was great as Swamp Thing.
Yeah, but go down to the comments below. Let us know what you guys think about Swamp Man. Is it a property you're interested in? I'm actually really excited about this. Real quick before I go to the chat and see what some of these guys, some of the viewers have been saying. Jeremy, what's the one property that stands out to you that you're most excited to see about the ones that he's given us so far?
I will again stick with my vote in the poll, and I will. Hello, dog. What do you think? What do you think? Oh God, what do you think is gonna be the best one? I'm still gonna
Creature Commandos.
Right. Stepping on my wires, dog. Disconnect. It's gonna be like Forrest Gump. Well, I'll tell you about Vietnam. Plug it back in. All right, that's all I gotta say.
And that's all he's got to say about that.
All right. I'll still stick with my my vote in the poll. I'll stick with Lanterns because again, that's the one that has the biggest range of like lore that you could possibly have. Like I said, each one different color, it's a different emotion. And then you get the white and black ones that are life and death. And like he said, there's neon ones now. Like, dear God, there is so much. It's as vast as space itself. I'm telling you, if you don't know about the Lantern Corps lore, I almost tripped up on that. Just start looking at I don't care. Pull up a Wikipedia page and just read a cliff notes of each one. My God, there's so much there, and I really hope we explore it. Hello.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Tex, what about you? What's the one that really jumps out at you that you're most looking forward to?
I gotta go Swamp Thing. they can do so much. It opens up a whole new world. Insert Little Mermaid reference here. But no, I mean, the Swamp Thing, like I said, it can lead to a Justice League Dark. It ties into the regular Justice League. So many cool horror-based villains. I got to go. The only reason I'm going Swamp Thing over Creature Commandos is because it's starting off live action, but I'm down for either one of those.
Yeah, for me, the one that as I was listening to this, as soon as you said Swamp Thing and started to describe it, I was like, that's the one I want. It's like, because I know we're getting Superman. I know we're getting Batman. It's going to be a different iteration of them. We know they're coming. But the two that really got me, the big one to me is Swamp Thing. The other one is the Lanterns. I love the fact that they're going to make that a kind of almost like a true detective kind of thing, the way he described it. I think that's going to be a really cool way to do this. I think most of these are, like I said, they're going to embrace the dark tone of DC, which is great. But Swamp Thing is the one that jumps out to me the most because again they're gonna let the comic book world kind of merge with the horror world a little bit, and I think that's gonna be really cool. And on top of that, I have really great memories of watching. Tex might remember this. Do you remember back in like the early '80s they had the Swamp Thing 3D movie that came on TV? Yep. You go to 7-Eleven to get a Slurpee, and then it came with 3D glasses, and then there was like one night I forget what night it was. Yeah, I have that on VHS. I forget what night it was. It was a big presentation on TV. You got to wear the old blue and red 3D glasses, and it was all done in 3D. And
that's cool.
There was some crazy scenes that were shot specifically for like the 3D stuff, where he like waves at the camera and shit. Kind of breaks the fourth wall.
What was her name? Adrienne Barbeau.
Adrienne Barbeau.
Yeah. Adrienne Barbeau. God bless her and her talents. Her hair was tremendous, as Cora would say. But yeah, no. Excellent.
But yeah, so there's this draw to my childhood nostalgic thing that pulls me towards that. But yeah, those are the two that jump out at me. But mostly it's the Swamp Thing. That's the one I'm really excited for. Going to the chat real quick before we get out of here. Derpy Entertainment says I'm very excited for this slate, especially for the Lanterns. But it's going to be interesting to the general audience how they react to Damian being Robin instead of Dick Grayson.
Right.
I don't know, Jeremy, do you think it's going to matter much? I think the general audience probably isn't going to care much. The hardcore comic book fans might. But I think the general audience is just going to take what they give them, and they're going to decide whether they like it kind of on spec. What do you think?
Yeah, because I mean, you have to know it isn't. I almost said this ain't your grandpa's Robin. This ain't Burt Ward. It's not
right.
It's not the George Clooney one. It's like
he's not making holy rusted metal Batman.
Yeah, holy
making phrases like
holy
that.
shark repellent Batman. Yeah.
Right.
And it's not. Was it Chris O'Donnell? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris O'Donnell. Yeah,
it's not him either. So I mean, I don't know. It's a different one. So maybe they'll just kind of judge it on whatever we get. Maybe even if it's like he's just his snarky little teenage son who's an assassin. Take it what you will.
He's the asshole Robin. Plain and simple. He's the asshole Robin.
Yeah, kind of. The only Red Hood became an asshole after the fact, but that's
not asshole.
He went through some shit.
He's the egotistical Robin that was raised to be Ra's al Ghul. That's what he is.
Yeah, when you're raised up like that, then what do you expect?
Right.
Yeah.
Derpy Entertainment also says, but what's really interesting is the characters that nobody knows about. I'm definitely getting Justice League Dark vibes, which is why I'm very intrigued how he will introduce the Justice League. Yeah, I mean, if you just went and did a straight up Justice League, it would feel too much like the Avengers. So I like that.
They are, yeah.
So I mean, kind of, yeah, but still different. But going Justice League Dark, I think, is probably the best way to do it. I don't know, Tex. What do you think?
100%. Guillermo del Toro was supposed to do a Justice League Dark film like 3 times, but it never came to fruition. And Justice League Dark would sell. It's got the Justice League name. They even did an animated movie about it. And if they're going to make it, one piece of casting that I would recommend is Alexandra Daddario as Zatanna, please, because she looks perfect for the role and she's gorgeous. So can we get that one going, James Gunn? So yeah, give me some. I've been waiting for a Justice League Dark. I mean, it's the magical, evil world side of the Justice League. It's the stuff that Superman can't handle. Let's not forget, magic is effective on him too. So you got to have somebody who can deal with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, MJ chimed in and said, he said, I don't know, man, this phase 1 is not looking that great besides Green Lantern show. Look, all I can say to you is be patient. Remember, all he's done is announce the projects at this point. We have no idea who's playing what. We have no idea who's directing what, except for maybe I'm pretty sure he's directed James Gunn's directed Superman. But I mean, and the rumors about James Mangold. I think the fact that the rumors about James Mangold got so hot so fast, I think he's probably going to end up doing Swamp Thing. But I mean, we have no idea how this is going to come together just yet. All they did is announce that they're doing it. I would say be patient. Let's see what they're going to give us. Because remember, the only trailers we've seen for anything DCU coming up is the stuff that is basically the end of the Snyderverse, is Shazam, Flash, and Aquaman. The way he talked to me, these aren't going to be a part of his universe going forward. The movies that have already been made. Now, they might take the actors and stuff like that, again, variants. But, I mean, there might be some plot points that might carry over. But for the most part, that's all that we've seen that's coming from DC. We don't really know what we're getting yet. He's just announced that he's making this stuff. We have no idea what it's going to look like. We have no idea what versions of the characters we're getting. We know nothing other than the fact that he's making them. So I would say be patient. We don't quite know what we're getting yet. Well, the first trailer comes out, we're going to know.
One thing I will say as far as directors and this and that go, it was on a Campia show I watched the other day. He came up with a real good suggestion that if we're not going to have Ben Affleck playing Batman, why don't we let an Oscar winner director, which is he is, direct Batman and go off of his script that he wrote that was so good. So we still have something like that, which I think is a tremendous idea. Something of the sort. I would love to see Affleck be in the situation. So
that'd have been
nice. Cool. Right. That's what I'm saying.
Here was your chance.
Yeah, really.
Right.
Big T.
Man knows how to make
Big T. He said, questions, thoughts on Dave Bautista possibly playing Bane in a future Batman movie. I don't know. What do you think, Jack?
Dave Bautista is now like your guy who's like, he's like The Rock. It's mildly distracting that I'm like, I know it's you. God damn it. Him and that stupid knock at the door, the fucking cabin in the woods. I don't fucking know anymore. He walks in there looking like fucking Dave Thomas, like on.
Hey, you know what? That movie's getting some banger reviews, though. I've been watching some of the reviews as people have been seeing it. And they said this movie's actually really good.
I'm just saying though, but it's like he's got the. I'm not saying he's not good. He's he's been doing well for himself, but I'm like it's just weirdly distracting. I'm like I know it's you, man. Like you can't fool me. You can't put like. You couldn't put like Shaq in a movie, and I'm like, I know it's you, dude. You're 7'2". Like, how the fuck do I not know it's you? I don't know. He could do it, and that's also one I totally forgot about Bane. I'm like, again, is that not the cool thing? Is that like you have some guy who's rotted out on this Venom serum, where it's like, oh crap, he's actually 7 feet tall. Batman's like, well, okay, how do I handle this? Like, you just make it the fun, weird shit because he's got to be able to. That's why he's the world's greatest detective. He can figure out how to beat some guy who's pumped full of this crap that makes him 3 times bigger.
We need a comic accurate Bane. I don't want him to look the same height as. I want him bigger than 7 foot. I want him to be give me the Arkham version of Bane. I want him to be massive.
I was gonna say, like the Arkham games are so much fun because it's like, you're Batman, and you're trying to figure out how to deal with all these villains that are in this asylum. Like,
I mean, obviously we need an actor to play the role, but I want Bane to be CGI heavy, much like Juggernaut was in Deadpool 2.
Yeah,
that's how big I want him to look like.
Yeah,
that's what needs to be done here. Bane, and for once, for God's sake, can Bane not be somebody's sidekick who's just doing their mission? Bane is a tactical genius in the comic. He is as smart as Batman. He's even beaten Batman multiple times.
That's why he's the only one who picked him up and broke his fucking spine in half.
I mean, there was a few years ago, they did a comic book where Bane literally took over for Batman as Batman in Gotham City. He even had a steel helmet he wore that had bat ears on it. So. Give us a huge, Hulk-size, Juggernaut-level Bane is what we need
here. Yeah. You don't have to be goofy. You can play into it and make it
intimidating. He's a military tactical genius.
Yeah. So, like, you can make this a formidable opponent.
Right.
I don't know. Going back to that, that's my knock at Shyamalan. I don't like him. Sorry. David Bautista is great. So, sorry. You just scribble out Cora's name, put me in there. I'm sorry. That was my one.
Big T also says 1,000% the Swamp Thing was a criminally underrated TV series, and just the fact that they're willing to pick back up for the big screen and dust it off goes to show that DC is in good hands. I think DC is in good hands anyway. As soon as they said James Gunn, I was like, okay, I'm into what's going on here, because I thought he was going to bring some of that Marvel sensibility over. I thought he was going to bring some of that Marvel sensibility over and kind of give it and concentrate more on a little bit more of the cohesiveness, because it really was. It didn't feel like any of that shit was really going together for a long time. Yeah. But I mean, Justice League had 2 different directors, for crying out loud. You could tell what scenes were Joss Whedon's in that movie. It was so terribly uneven.
Joss Whedon sucks.
But now that there's a one person at the helm giving good direction, I am 100% more confident that we're going to be getting better Justice League. Will it be as good as Marvel? Meh. I mean, time will tell. I mean, the bar is set pretty high, but it doesn't need to be as good. It just needs to be good for what it is. I'm not looking for DC to be as good as Marvel. I'm looking for it to be the best DC can be, not compare it to Marvel. If they're the best DC it can be, that's going to be the deciding factor as to whether it's good or not. But yes, I agree. I'm really excited that Swamp Thing, they're coming back out with it. MJ also says it would be nice if we got those last 2 Snyder Justice League movies in animated form, if not live action. I don't think it's going to happen.
I love that. I would love that.
They're certainly not going to work with Zack Snyder again. He's kind of persona non grata in Hollywood.
Why not? Anyway. They've got the Elseworlds brand. Why not take advantage of it? You know how much money they could make if they made the Batfleck movie and Zack Snyder's Justice League 1 and 2 and fund this new DCU?
Well, it's like you do have
no, come on.
No. Hold on.
Go on Twitter right now. They still call for the Snyderverse.
I know.
Okay, just because there's a segment of fandom that's calling for more Snyderverse movies doesn't make them right. I mean, I could get 1 million people to go on Twitter and say 2 + 2 = 5. That wouldn't make me right.
Well, that's not my point, though.
With Star Wars, we have what was canon, and we had the extended universe, which is now called Legends, because they can't. They just kind of took it out like, well, it's there, but don't worry about it. I'm like, well, I'm glad I worried about it for most of my teenage and then like adult life, and then you basically told me to screw off. It doesn't matter anymore. I'm like, well, come on.
That's the whole thing. There's no reason. If they're number one, I think it's a mistake to even have an Elseworlds brand. I think they need to go with one set of characters. If you've got 3 different Batman or 2 different Batman floating around, you're always going to have a problem in comparison. But if we have an Elseworlds brand, there's no reason why we can't tell these stories. Even if it's in an animated form, I think that I don't have an issue with that.
He did say about Matt Reeves' Batman. He's like, well, it's there and it exists over here.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Phoenix's Joker is over here, but we're doing this. This is our story and our world that we're pushing forward.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They can do the Zack Snyder's. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, let's make very clear. Make sure I'm not giving wrong information here. Let's make very clear why they're allowing the Batman to continue to happen again. That
and Joker too, as well.
Yeah, and let's make very clear. It made let's see, I didn't make $1 billion. It made 771 million, but it would have. But still, you're talking about as we were coming out of the pandemic. If were it not for a pandemic in a kinder world, that probably would have broke $1 billion. Joker made $1 billion. So those movies they know are going to make bank. So that's why they're allowing those to continue. If the Batman would have come out and made like $450 million worldwide, there's no fucking way in hell they'd have let a second movie happen. If Joker would have come out and made good look, if Joker would have made $300 or $400 million, that would have been a wild success. Like nobody expected that movie to blow up the way it did financially. But I mean, Joker did $1 billion. That's why they're letting that happen again, because those are the movies that are going to help them that they know are going to help them make a ton of money to help fund the new Gunverse of movies. They don't. That's why they don't need. That's why they don't need to go back out to do anything at all related to the Snyderverse. Even if you do want to do something animated, because animated, let's be honest, animated stuff doesn't make a whole lot of money in theaters, generally speaking.
No, it makes real good content for your streaming service though that people would eat up.
Yeah, but you're not making any money on the streaming service. It's not doing. You're saying that it's going to somehow help them facilitating the building of the James Gunn universe.
I think it would.
It's not going to have any effect on that at all. It's not going to be in the same universe. It's not going to make any significant money. It's not going to have any impact on the creative anything. And what James Gunn wants to do is he said that he wants animated TV, movies, and video games. Well, that's one of the things I forgot to mention so far in all this. He wants all this stuff to be in a shared universe. He wants all this stuff to exist cohesively together, which is going to be very, very hard to do because even Kevin Feige doesn't really give a shit about video games. He's like, whatever. Go do a Spider-Man video game. I don't give a shit. He doesn't really
Sony, not
video games.
That's Sony, not Marvel, unfortunately.
I'll say this.
Well, I mean, even the Avengers-based video games, he doesn't really give a shit.
That's probably why it was bad.
The last thing we saw of the Snyderverse was Darkseid with Granny Goodness and his whole fleet of Apocalypse staring at the fully formed Justice League. Even if they just did one movie. And we've got that fight of Darkseid versus that whole Justice League. That would make bukus of money that could fund, because we know Warner Brothers, they're not great financially right now. That would make a ton of money. I guarantee you that would. Yeah, now, would it cost a lot to make? Probably. But it would be $1 billion film. Just to give a full close, I would do it. If I was Zaslav, I would do it. Just as a cash funding project and goodwill to all the Snyder fans to be like, hey, here's one last piece, close it all out, tie it in a bow, we're done.
Well, for one, screw the Snyder fans. They spent $75 million.
Snyder fans are
screw the Snyder fans. Sorry, screw the Snyder fans. I just don't care. I mean, I was a fan of aspects of the Snyderverse. I don't give a shit if that thing finishes or not. Because look, they spent $75 or $80 million, somewhere between 75 and 85 million. To redo the Justice League, the Snyder Cut, to put out and make absolutely no money on HBO, just to satisfy the fans. And what did the fans do? The fans continued to shit on Warner Brothers for the Snyder Cut. And they said, look, we gave you guys what you wanted. So they gave them what they wanted, and they still shit on them. You know what? Fuck the Snyder fans. I just don't care. Here's the truth. The Snyder fans are going to go to this movie. They're going to drag themselves. They're going to sit in there and steal it and be like, I don't want to like the movie because it's not that Snyder. They fit Snyder with blah blah blah. and they're going to pay for their ticket just like me and you. They're going to sit there and watch that damn movie just like me and you, and then they're going to go talk about it on Twitter. They're going to go talk about it on YouTube, and that's just like we are. And they're going to make their money anyway. Screw the Snyder fans.
Okay.
Screw them.
I don't know. I'm just saying. I think
they if it was $75 or $80 million to satisfy these whining fucking bitches on Twitter.
Right?
No, screw them. Screw them directly up their asses. I just don't care. I want quality content. If it comes from the Snyderverse, fine. If it comes from this new Gunnverse, fine. I want quality content, and I got to be perfectly honest. Zack Snyder wasn't giving it to us. He just wasn't.
Well, here's my question, though. Well, not so much question as more concern is. I don't think Matt Reeves is going to want Elseworlds stamped on the front of his movie. I think he's going to be looked at as well. I'm saying, don't you think this is going to create some kind of inner strife within once James Gunn cast his new Batman and they're advertising this is our Batman? Oh, and then over there's Robert Pattinson. He's our Elseworld. He's our blah blah blah. He's our whatever. Right? I see that kind of forecasting problems in the future. Studio-wise, too, until they get done with those Matt Reeves Batman films, whether they do 2 or 3 of them. I don't know.
I agree with you that I don't like the idea of having multiple versions of characters at the same time. I think for some of the casual fans, it might be a little confusing. You're like, wait a minute, which Batman am I going to see now? But the reality is creatively they're very good. Financially, they've been successful. I'm willing to bet this next Batman movie probably comes close to $1 billion. I mean, I think the last Batman movie did probably would have broke $1 billion were it not for people still kind of being weary of going to theaters because of pandemic stuff. But I mean, I don't mind it right now. Besides, we may not see the James Gunn version of Batman until Matt Reeves is wrapping up his 3rd movie. Because remember, we're not getting Superman for the 2.5 years. 2.5 years.
Yeah.
We may not be getting Batman for their 4.
If DC's smart, they'll hold off because I do think, as much as I don't like Matt Reeves' Batman, that film, I legitimately fell asleep in that movie. Is how much I hated it. But that has potential to get close to $1 billion, but Joker 2, I don't think it gets anywhere near $1 billion. I don't think people want to see a musical with Lady Gaga as a singing Harley Quinn. I don't think that's going to go over
There are
well.
some aspects of that concern me, but I'm
Same.
intrigued because the first movie was pretty good.
Okay, but the first Joker, it's not even a superhero film. It's a complete different genre. Well, like when I first saw that film, I loved it. I was like, "This is great. This is awesome." But literally every time I watched it, I hated it a little bit more.
Yeah, it's a great character study, but a terrible comic book movie.
Yeah. Oh, it's.
Okay. And I'm just sitting over here. I'm just like, you wouldn't get it. Okay,
it's just he's Joker for 5 minutes in that movie, and the rest of it, he's a crazy guy named Arthur Fleck. That's all that movie is.
Well, it's the one bad day. It's the one bad day storyline. It's just he is
okay.
Just a guy
it is, but
it's that one thing that pushes him over the edge and makes him into the Joker. I mean, it's someone else that he was a musician or something that was failing.
That's why the Killing Joke, once again, like I said earlier, the Killing Joke was an Elseworld comic. It was never meant to be canon to anything mainline, because whenever it was written, it was supposed to be a what if. But now it's so popular, people consider it as, mainline factual stuff, and it's not. It's just, even today, it's still an Elseworld story, technically. But, it is what it is.
Can't we just enjoy good things?
No,
but that seems like
we are DC fans. We struggle, Jeremy. It's what we do.
I know, man. I'm just tired of struggling. I want to live.
We are the Cleveland Browns, and we're proud, buddy. It's what we do, by God.
I know.
Well, thank you all very much for voting in the poll. Boy, it was not what I expected. I expected Superman and Batman to be kind of neck and neck, but you guys have made it clear.
World's finest didn't take it home, eh?
41% of you said that you're more interested in seeing Batman, the Brave and the Bold. 33% said the Lanterns, which is very much a surprise. 16% said Paradise Lost, and only 8% said Superman. That's interesting to me. I really thought that Batman and Superman would kind of be 1 and 2 in some way, but yeah, interesting to me. Interesting to me that the Lanterns is drawing that much love. Not surprised to see Batman on top, but it's very interesting for me to see Superman down at the bottom. That is very odd, very, very, very interesting. But thanks to all of you who voted in the poll. I very much appreciate it. That seems like a good place to start wrapping things up. This has been a bit of a long show, but man, there was a lot to go into, and I have a feeling we'll be talking about this DC slate a lot more in the coming months. Thanks to all of you viewers for being so great. Big T, MJ, some new people I saw in the chat. Thanks very much. I hope you guys will consider subscribing. Again, we're on the road to 500 subs. Once we get to 500, we'll do a charity stream for the Abandoned Pet Project. So hopefully you guys will subscribe and come back around later to continue to support the channel. Thank you, of course, to my great co-host, starting with my hetero life mate, Jeremy. What do you got going on, my friend?
Oh, so much happened in just the one day between our, Last of Us review and today. Which is, of course, a load of crap. But what's not a load of crap is, in fact, our Last of Us reviews, because that show is amazing. Watch it, play the game. I don't care which order you do it in. Well, at this point, whatever. They're both great stories worth looking into, and we do review those every whenever. Tuesday, one day, Wednesday, I don't know. But, be on the lookout for it. It's out there. And I'm on this show every Thursday, or at least every Thursday I try to be. We can talk about DC all night, or we can talk about whatever the hell else is even going on in entertainment. And it's down there at the bottom. There's my name. You can definitely not tell I'm tired as hell right now. Because I'm just like, there's the name, there's the shit. Look it up. I don't care. I'm on. I got Twitter. It's all the same name. It's all that name you see right there at the bottom. I'm on Twitter. YouTube and Twitch. YouTube definitely does not have anything on it. If you're a true fan, there was at one time, but that's okay. Reinvent the brand. We're gonna since we're doing Last of Us, I'll play through Last of Us on my own after the fact of the show. Maybe I'll try and squeeze in part 2 before. Whenever season 2 comes out. I don't know when that it's supposed to be, but we're greenlit. That's a good sign. Like we're just talking about Batman. I was like, I had an idea to go through the Arkham series because that's a fun series to go through. And then I had some other weird offshoot ideas to do. Also doing stuff with Brooding Gamer. He's down there in the description. Go check his stuff out as well. Crossover. We're gonna do some cryptids and ghost hunts and stuff like that. So that'll be fun. I've not done something like that, which is something up my alley. Which is, like I said, I'm surprised I've never done that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Almost. Yeah, I ran through the list. We're good.
And of course, for our friend from down south, the Shape from the Lone Star State, our man Tex. What do you got going on, my friend?
Oh, not too much. I was obviously snowed in today because God hates me right now. So I was frozen. Assuming I survived this snowpocalypse I'm living in, maybe I'll be on next week. But no, I'll be here in this place.
You want to come visit me and Frank for like a week? I dare you. I dare you.
He might want to. It's supposed to be up in the 40s in the next few days.
And then dip down into the single digits.
I'll come up on July 4th when you do your little beer run game. I'll be up there for that. How about that?
Well, that's actually in the snow. But hey, you don't want to be here in July either. You will sweat your nards off, sir. I'm telling you. You're not going to like it either.
Either way, it's Slasher Vision on Twitter, all one word. I'm watching a couple kind of lesser known horror films that once I'm done watching them, I will do some sort of presentation on here. Like I said, my resolution this year was to highlight more independent horror films, and I'm trying to fulfill that as much as possible with time given. So, yeah, there's a couple things coming down the pike, so just pay attention to the channel. That's about it. So.
As for me, you can find me right there on Twitter, elpadrino13_. That's usually where I'm most active. I'm also trying to get more active on Substack again. I'm trying to do some little articles about that. I'm currently typing one up of some of my thoughts about the new Night Court TV series. So keep an eye out for that on my Substack. Other than that, you can find me here. I'm going to try to start making the Last of Us reviews on Tuesdays because since Cora's kind of tapped out of the show, I was thinking about trying to reach out to American Werewolf from New Jersey to see if he wanted to come on and do them with us. I know he's been breaking them down on his channel as well. Go check out American Werewolf from New Jersey. Just search him on Twitter. He's got some really cool stuff going on too, a lot of reviews. He was kind enough to have me on his channel a while back. We had a great time talking about some movies. So I'm hoping to try to incorporate him into that as well. I got to coordinate that with him to make sure he's going to be free. But we will be here probably Tuesday or Wednesday to break down episode 4 of The Last of Us. Again, the first 3 episodes have been bangers. They've been really, really cool, very deep episodes. I'm really looking forward to where the series is at.
Yeah, we've had 2 good episodes and 1 episode of Brokeback Mountain.
But also, you can catch me here on Thursdays with my crew going over all the news that's happening in the world of TV, streaming, and television. And again, we very much appreciate you guys. Again, please continue to support us because YouTube does absolutely nothing to support small channels like us. So we do it all because of you guys. So thank you very much for coming and hang out with us tonight. We very much appreciate it. You guys are awesome. And we will see you guys, I guess, probably Tuesday. That's where we're headed. Oh, yeah.